Hello and welcome to Miniatures Rundown. I'm Josh.
I'm Mitchell.
We're here to talk about the Skaven Battletome. This is our full review of the brand new 3rd edition Chaos Battletome Skaven. It's a Skaven tome. CJ's not here today because he hates Skaven a lot.
Yep.
Like, he just despises them in every way, shape, or form.
And his innate fear of warp power and being stabbed.
So we murdered him and brought on Mitchell instead. Thank you for joining me today, Mitchell.
Did I wash? Did I get the blood? Yeah, I think I'm good.
Yeah, no, it's fine. It's fine. As an orc player, he bleeds green, so it just blends in.
They'll just make more spores.
Oh, no. No, but hey, always more besides is our thing.
Yes.
Not theirs. So, you play Skaven.
I'm going to go with technically.
The best kind of correct.
I have played one game with Skaven.
You're playing Skaven,
I am playing
though.
Skaven.
Right.
This is my book.
Yes.
And they are super fun because I love the Scryer Explodey. That's my favorite. And some would say they're a blast. See, this is normally your
Yeah, see, I torture Mitchell with puns in our daily life, and now he's getting back at me. And I'm just going to warn you, you're opening up a can of warp. I was going to go with the whoop warp or warp ass, and neither of those are good.
I like warp ass.
I don't. That sounds like one of the Great Plagues. Oh, no. We'll get to that. So, but you are a Skaven enthusiastic about Skaven. A
Yes.
Skaven aficionado.
Yes.
Let's call it that.
Yes, I have. So I played a game. I originally got into Age of Sigmar because I played a game called Ninth Age, which is basically the fans took Warhammer Fantasy at 8th edition. They took a screenshot and they changed stuff that was broken and changed all the names so they wouldn't get sued. It's a great game. It's all rank and file and all that stuff. But I played Skaven.
Ratman, probably.
The Vermin Swarm is what it's
Oh,
called.
okay.
And it was super fun. You had like tons of little dudes on the board, and you ran away at the sight of anything that was larger than larger than them. And I had a bunch of favorite units, and I loved it. But then I went over to Sigmar, and I got a bunch of different armies. But Skaven was my first love. I just never picked them up until now.
And there's a reason for that, which
Yes.
we'll get to. Because I think you and I both have the same reason for why we were not playing Skaven before.
Yes, we do.
So I guess let's just dive right into the book.
Okay.
We're not going to go through every single page because Man Reed's book has a monopoly on that anyway. So, and Min Reed's book is not any particularly more exciting. Well, maybe when we get to Slanesh. So, overview.
Yes,
How do you like the book?
I think it's great. I had some reservations with the previous book, which is another reason that I didn't pick it up. But we'll go with that later. And I think this one's fantastic. Some people are iffy on it, but it made me love things that I didn't love before, and it obviously made me buy the faction. So I mean, GW has like check marks and it's working. But yeah, I think it's fantastic. I love everything about it.
Yeah, I'm kind of in the same camp. I'm a big fan of the book. It's not perfect, which we'll get into. And I guess we'll just go ahead and address now the problems with the previous edition of Skaven, which is not to say they were unplayable.
Right.
But they had this really weird thing where basically there was no universal battle line.
Right.
You only got battle line by making your army a specific clan.
Yes.
So if you wanted to play like Scryer,
Mhm.
if you played Scryer, you could not bring units from other armies, right? Like because that violated.
The only exception was your general could be Master Clan.
Right.
That was the only exception. If you brought Storm Vermin, because they didn't have the Scryer keyword, you weren't Scryer anymore, and you couldn't use.
Right. And you couldn't get any of the Scryer buffs.
Right.
If you did play Scryer,
Yeah.
you got Storm Fiends and Acolytes.
Acolytes, and then all the exploding weapons.
Right.
And then nothing else.
But as far as battle line, it was just
Yeah, it was
Storm
just those
Fiends and Acolytes.
Yeah.
And I think Storm Fiends was only after Feast of Bones. Or not Feast of Bones. What was the one where they were fighting the Carrion Empire? That was it.
Really?
Maybe. I might be wrong on that. Again, that was before I was playing it.
That's
All I knew was I looked at the book and went, I don't want to play this army because I can't do what I want to do with Skaven, which is mix a bunch of things.
Yeah. Funnily enough, they went from one of the absolute most strict battle line and clan requirements to one of the most open.
And that's what I love about this book
Yes.
is that this feels like was and am a Cities player. Cities of Sigmar, right? This feels like Cities, but better. Because Cities is this thing where you have all of these different clans, and they all have their own leaders and their troops and maybe some kind of monster or cavalry or something auxiliary. And the idea is that those little things buff each other, and you build armies not by going all into free guild. You can, but no, that's not really what you're supposed to do. You have a little bit of free guild and a little bit of dwarves and a little bit of elves. And this feels like the same way.
Right.
But because it's a much newer book, it's done a lot better.
Yeah. It's a third book, technically.
Yes. Yeah. And I guess we'll get into that. But so let's start, so the lore is the lore. You don't care.
Hey, I don't care about lore. All I know is the Skaven wanted to go to the moon or went to the moon.
I think that was in the last one.
Oh, it was in the
That
last?
was in fantasy.
Oh, okay. Then I know nothing about that.
Yeah, because one of the moons was a giant warpstone moon.
Yeah.
And it's kind of like the moon being made of cheese,
was-
except
yeah, I
the
was
moon is
gonna
made
say
of
it wasn't
drugs.
Well, I mean, that's a pretty big.
And the moon was actually made of drugs, and then they crashed it into the lizard men, and everyone died.
Yeah.
Anyway, the only thing I want to call it in the lore here, it's good. It's fine. It goes over what they're doing in 3rd edition, what they're doing in the Era of the Beast. The only thing I want to point out is that 2 things. A, GW once again teasing amazing concepts that they will never release. In this case, an armada of Clan Scryer warp balloons.
Come on, guys.
Give me my Caradron Overlord Skaven faction. I know that there's a couple of you out there who've made conversions, but no, I want the antithesis of Caradron.
Yes.
I don't care if you make it another army. It's too big to make a warband for Underworld, so otherwise...
Yeah.
They had little balloons. 9 and 90 warp balloons. I'd also like to point out that armada in the story here bombs Tempest's Eye, which is the city that I play. So
Very thematic.
they're very thematic. Me ditching cities to play Skaven and the
Yeah.
Skaven bomb. They didn't destroy it. It's still there. We didn't kill the faction, but
It's Stormcast Eternals. They'll never die.
yeah, I guess it is one of the Stormcute cities, isn't it?
Yeah,
It's who cares? We're not talking about them today.
No.
So skipping over all of the fluff and the lore and all that beautiful stuff, we're going to go to actually talking about what's in the book for the army-wise, and that's starting with the allegiance abilities. So the big thing about this is that you have a few of your allegiance abilities that are applied to everybody at all times. And then each of the clans has allegiance abilities that you unlock. Yeah, you want to use yours? Okay. So the allegiance abilities that everybody has. Number 1, lead from the back. Basically, it's look out, sir, except for melee.
Right.
If you're near friendly units who aren't monsters, your heroes get -1 to be hit.
Which is good.
Yeah, look out, sir is not, the most defensive thing in the world, but it can kind of frustrate your enemies.
Funny enough, I think I forgot about that rule in the one game that I played.
Well, it's not a rule that we ever had
Right.
before, right? The next one is Scurry Away, which is instead of fighting in the combat phase, you can retreat.
Which is very thematic.
Heroes can, not everybody.
Yeah, heroes.
Heroes can. You can just bolt. And there is no restriction on the type of hero.
Nope.
And we'll get to why that's important.
Yep.
And then last one, Strength in Numbers. This is probably the biggest one, although also right now the most redundant one.
Yeah.
What is Strength in Numbers?
Strength in Numbers is you add +1 to the range of your weapons for every 10 models in the unit that's attacking, up to a maximum of 3 inches.
For melee weapons, of course. Basically, so now your unit of 20 clan rats has 2-inch range.
Yes.
Even when they're not picking the spears.
Yes.
Which, I guess we'll get to this, makes the spears completely useless.
Well, that's actually, as long as you have 20, it's a 3-inch range because it adds
oh,
+1.
you're absolutely right.
Yeah. I mean, when they kill one guy, you go down to 2. But still.
Right, yeah. But that's pretty handy.
Yeah, it's great.
It's kind of redundant right now because basically that same rule is in the GHB as part of the Season of War. But when the Season of War expires, we will still have this.
Yes.
Everybody else won't.
The second thing that makes this a little weird is that, for example, Clan Rats, they have a 1-inch option and a 2-inch option that is slightly worse stats-wise. But the maximum is still 3 inches.
So you will never take Clan Rats with spears, basically.
No, Clan Rats with spears make no sense unless you're guaranteed to kill 10 of them before they get in, and then you still have 2 inches. I don't know.
Yeah,
there's no reason to take them with spears.
Yeah, no, that's kind of sucks.
Yeah, unless they errata this so that it's a maximum of +3 inches. That would be good. That would kind of be a little ridiculous.
Yeah, that would be.
Then they would have 5-inch range on their spears.
We're Lumineth now, boys.
Well, I mean, yeah.
Oh, God.
You got to cut them down.
So you always have those 3 traits.
Yes.
No matter what you're playing, which is good. Then we get into the Great Clans battle traits, and the idea behind these is that you have 6 hero slots in Age of Sigmar, right?
Yeah.
Always. barring some very particular circumstances with the armies that I don't even, nothing that applies to this army. You got 6 spots. Devoting more of those slots to each of the individual clans, and you have Master Clan, which is your wizard clan. Scryer, which is your techno clan.
Yeah.
Molder, which is your beasts of war, your weird mutations. Pestilence, which is your sick boys. Eshin, which is your ninja boys. And Verminus, which is your horde.
Yeah.
Kind of.
Well, yeah.
Well, yeah.
They do horde stuff, but they also do other stuff.
It's unfortunate. It's just the horde stuff sucks right now, which is not. Yeah, this.
It's not a problem with this book.
Watch our GHB review coming soon. Basically, you unlock you start with these when you have one hero from that clan. So for Master Clan, all Master Clan heroes have this following ability: Skilled Manipulators. Before you allocate a wound or mortal wound to a friendly Master Clan hero that is not a monster, which means not Thankul and not one of the Vermin Lords, it's a ward on a 3-up for anybody if they have people nearby. 3-up ward.
No, it's not a 3-up ward. It's a 3-up pass along, right?
3-up pass along, right? Yeah, sorry, pass along.
Battle guard. No,
bodyguard.
Bodyguard. That's
3-up bodyguard, which is not bad.
Yeah.
And just having a Master Clan hero who is not Thankul, which is basically to say a Gracier or a Gracier on Bell, which is important because that Bell has a 3-up pass.
It still works on the Bell.
Yes.
Gross.
You can pass off. Every Master Clan hero has that, no matter how many you bring, which is great. But if you have 3 Master Clan units in your army,
or
more, yeah, because you could go 6, you could go pure clan. You get to basically the first time you pick a unit to run, charge, or pile in. For run and charge, you can use that roll for all the rest of the rolls you would make that phase.
Right.
So an example, I have 3 Master Clan units in my army, or 3 Master Clan heroes. So I've unlocked this ability. I've got a unit of clan rats. I say they're going to charge. And it has to be your first unit that you attempt to charge. So no fishing for the right one. But let's say I roll boxcars. I roll 12 in that charge. I can then use that 12 for every other charging unit that turn.
Yep.
Without having to roll for it.
Master Clan or not.
Master Clan or not. That's the big part, too. Which is really, really good. Same thing with a run roll. The run roll is a little bit different.
Yes.
Or is a little, maybe not as good as people think, because the way they changed the command ability for auto run, it no longer makes your run roll a 6.
Right.
It just adds 6 inches to your
movement, and you don't roll.
Right. So you cannot use that command ability to then have everybody auto run 6.
Yeah, so it's like 10% weaker than...
Right.
Because in that case, it's not good. But even if you roll a 5 or a 6, then you're 5 or 6 on the whole army.
The big thing right now is the lack of a certain word in these 2 abilities, which is the word unmodified.
Yes.
The word unmodified is not in these 2, which means if you have a charge bonus, that becomes your charge roll. And we'll get to why that's really, really, really good. Spoilers, that might get errated because it's really good.
Really stupid.
Also, finally, they can also, when you pile in with your first unit, you can pile in with everybody at the same time, which is great. And also, that doesn't stop them from piling in again.
Which makes sense for another thing that we're going to talk about later.
Right. So you can double pile in across your whole army.
Yes.
Which is really, really good. Now, you still have to be within 3 inches to pile in the first place, so this is not a 6-inch pile in.
Right.
This is not zombies.
Well, it's not old zombies.
Old zombies, yeah, they changed that because it was dumb. But it's a double pile in, which is still great, but for specific things. So that's Master Clan. Molder. Molder is one of the more disappointing ones.
Yeah, unfortunately.
We're not going to go through all of these because basically it's for every Molder hero you have, you get to pick one of these nice upgrades for a Hell Pit Abomination.
Yep.
Sorry, kind of. Yeah, you get to pick a nice upgrade for Hell Pit Abomination. Hell Pits.
It's only for the Hell Pit Abomination.
It's only for the Hell Pits. They took it away from Rat Ogres.
So they very much want you to be like only Molder because it's like you can put it on up to, if you include 3 Master Clan, you can pick each Hell Pit Abomination instead of only 1. So it's like we want you to take 700 points in Hell Pit Abominations.
Yeah, because Hell Pits are behemoths, so you can only take 3.
Yeah.
And that's if you're taking no heroes or monsters. So it's not great. I will say if you're going to pick one of these, the automatic pick is probably the 4-up save.
Yeah.
Wounds
16 wounds and a
characteristic
4-up
16.
save.
Yeah, because that's the biggest problem for the Hell Pit.
Yep.
That being said, the movement characteristic of 7 and the auto charge 7 is also
Oh, I forgot about that one because the Hell Pit normally has a 2d6 roll.
Right.
So just making it a 7 and charge
It's
rolls are automatically
making
7.
the average. Yep, and then
Interesting.
you always charge 7, which is interesting. But
Yeah.
we're going to talk about something about Molder here in a bit that makes that particularly less good.
Yes. Yes. Okay.
So, Eshin, your least favorite.
My least favorite.
So-
I don't like the ninja ones. The models didn't get an update other than the
Slinks,
Underworlds.
yeah, other
Which
than-
he is kind of cool.
and the new Deathmaster.
That's
Who's not kind of cool.
he looks cool. He looks cool.
At the start of the first battle round, after determining first turn, but before the turn begins, you pick one enemy hero, and every Eshin unit you have gets +1 hit and wound
That hero, yes.
against that hero. If you have 3 Eshin heroes, it's all Eshin units
Against all enemy heroes.
Yeah, which is not bad.
Yeah. Especially when you're like popping up your Eshin.
Right. It's the problem is it doesn't synergize with what Eshin want to do, which we'll
Yeah.
get to when we talk about the scrolls.
Oh, it only says melee only.
Yes, it also does say melee only, which yeah,
Which is one of the reasons it's not as good as it looks.
yeah. Verminous. Walk us through Verminous.
Verminous is a little. It's not strange, but it only buffs Claw Lord, similar to the Molder one that only buffs Hell Pit Abominations. It only buffs Claw Lords.
Just like the Molder one, which only buffs the worst unit.
Yeah. Hey.
Not
No,
the worst unit.
Not the worst unit. There's giant rats and rat swarms in there. But it only buffs Claw Lords, which is your non-huge heroes. It's only the little tiny ones.
Yep.
And it gives them like extra. You can use a heroic action to give them a command ability that's not already on the board.
Right.
And if you have 3 or more, you can do it with all of your Claw Lords.
And you can't pick the same
You
command
can't
ability
pick the same one.
more than once in the same turn.
Yeah, so
you
you can mix and match. Like if there's one that's good over here, and the next turn it's good over here, that's fine. But like it's very niche, especially when you're taking 3.
Yeah, and you have to take 3 Claw Lords.
Yeah, because there's only one character Claw Lord from the first Underworlds, or is he
Oh
not
yeah, no, I
technically a
forgot about
Claw
him.
Lord?
I don't think he counts. Well,
Well, he can't get a command ability,
right, because
'Cause he's a
unique.
character.
Because he's unique.
so only the generic Claw Lord.
right.
So you have to take at least 3 of the same generic hero.
Well, actually, pick one eligible command trait from the page that this Claw Lord does not already have, and apply
its
this effect
effects.
to this unit.
So you could probably do it on.
Right, but it does say eligible for the eligible command trait. So is Scritch therefore not eligible for the command trait?
No, I think the thing is that characters can't get
Enhancements.
and
Right.
this is not an enhancement.
Correct. Okay.
So I would think that
The
it works, but
problem
again,
is
errata.
Scritch doesn't have the good command ability that all
No.
Claw Lords have, so you're never going to bring Scritch Spike Claw,
Yeah.
which is a
And
shame
Spike Claw Swarm is also bad.
because he's an amazing model.
Yeah,
I will
the
be
models are
using
great.
him as a Claw Lord,
Sure.
but not, yeah. Scryer. Go over Scryer, sir. This is your territory.
Scryer is my favorite clan. It is, again, the one that I played when I was in 9th Age. It's not near as crazy as this is. But they have things called Warpstone Sparks. And what they do is you can spend them to either reroll casting, dispelling, or unbinding on a Skaven Scryer Wizard.
Which is all the Scryer heroes, by the way.
Yes. Oh, yeah, they all are all wizards. And then at the end of the turn, roll a dice on a 1. They take mortal wounds, but, that's Scryer's thing. That one I'll save for last. In the combat phase, you pick a Scryer hero. You can say they get +1 to hit and wound, but again, at the end of the phase, you roll a die, blah, blah, blah. They take D3 mortal wounds, but the best one is you can pick 3 different Scryer units within 13 inches.
Wholly within 13.
Wholly within 13.
Just
Everything's holy in this book, basically.
Not a lot of it.
Really?
Well, yeah, we'll get to that.
Okay.
But
And those models get +1 to damage on all of their ranged attacks that turn. This is nuts.
that's your bread and butter.
It is the one you're using
If
every
you're
turn
taking
your Scryer.
Scryer heroes, you're taking them to use that on Scryer units.
Yes. It doesn't work on the cannon.
No.
Because the cannon is special in every way you can think of. But on Storm Fiends, on any of the little shooty guns, the
Rattling
the Rattling
cannons.
cannon,
not the warp fire thrower, I guess,
yeah,
because
not
that's
the warp
also
fire
just
thrower.
mortals.
And then, but on Storm Fiends, and then the Rattling cannons on the Storm Fiends, but the Doom Wheel
The Doom Wheel.
The Doom Wheel.
Storm Fiends is the big play here.
Yes.
Storm Fiends, like we'll just say this now, Storm Fiends were the only way to play Skaven last edition.
Yes.
They are no longer the only way, but they are still good.
Still very good.
They got kind of nerfed a little bit by proxy, just by virtue of everything else being so much better.
Yes. They went up 5 points.
Yes.
But basically all of their guns got out a hit. Sorry, all of their weapons got either a hit or a wound buff.
Yeah.
Or both. So I think it's still good.
Yes.
But you're right. Because everything else is comparable.
They don't look as good anymore, but that's just because the book's a lot more usable.
Yes.
And then finally, Pestilence. Do you want to take Pestilence or do you...
I'll do Pestilence.
Okay.
Because they're probably my second favorite, honestly.
Okay, that's what I was thinking.
Which is weird because, like, when the last book came out and everything was Pestilence, I just didn't care about them.
Yeah, because Plague Monks were at one point the terrors of 2nd edition.
Yes. Yes, I do remember that being talked about.
Because they had more attacks than anybody else in the game, and they were cheap.
I've been on the receiving end of some sensor bearers.
Yeah.
And they hurt they hit like a truck.
I will point out that they did not get the Slanesh treatment. They did not get the "you were too good and we must bonk you into oblivion."
No, they didn't. Again, they kind of just brought everything up to their level.
Yeah.
They went down a little bit at the beginning of 3rd, and now hopefully they're back.
So Pestilence is a weird one because it's not a. This one doesn't unlock with numbers of units like all the other ones
Right.
do.
It just gets better progressively as you get more Scryer.
Right.
Not Scryer. Pestilence heroes. You get +1 to your chanting because they're all priests.
Yes.
Well, that being said,
Except for the
Vermin
Lord, but
yeah, he's a double wizard, which is whatever. But you get +1 to your chanting for each other Pestilence hero within 13 of them.
each other Pestilence priest technically.
Priest, yeah, that's right.
Which I only bring that up because it does not include the Corruptor.
Yes.
He does not buff the other priests.
And the second thing that it does is that if you roll a 6+, not a natural 6+, just a 6+.
Once again, lacking that wonderful word unmodified.
Yep. You get to pick one of these plagues to happen. Most of them are like damage or like you get to reroll your chanting rolls. I forgot.
Which is the one you will always pick first.
Yes. You do that, and then you just have a higher chance of getting it for the rest of the game. But they're just an added benefit on top of anything that you chant, which is great.
So yeah, calling out some of the plagues here. So like, to lay this out. Basically, it's the more priests you have within 13 inches, you get a +1 for every other priest.
Yes.
So if you were to fill all 6 of your hero slots with Pestilence, either the Plague Furnace or the priests, and they were all within 13 inches of each other, you would have a +5 to your roll.
So you need a 1.
Well, a 1 automatically fails.
So you would get a 2+. You would automatically get their thing and any Great Plague you wanted.
Right. Now, you only get each Great Plague once per game.
Yes. And there's one.
And you can only have 1 per turn.
And there's 5 of them.
So you cannot chant 6 times on turn 1 and unleash all the Great Plagues.
Yeah, it's not that cool.
So the first one you're probably always going to pick is the Never Plague, which is you reroll your chant rolls. Because that lets you reroll that 1. Because that's what you're dreading, right? You're dreading the 1.
Yeah.
Because then you take mortal wounds and you don't get to chant. But you pick Never Plague and then you never have that problem.
Yep. Unless you're very unlucky.
Yeah, which can happen. The rest of these are just kind of good. They're mortals. They're mortals that spread around.
There was one that was...
The funny one is Red Maw Plague.
Yeah, Red Maw Plague.
Which is, you could, in theory, take control of an enemy hero within 13 inches. There's a lot of qualifiers there. Enemy hero has to be within 13 inches of the chanter. Infected for the rest of the battle.
The closest.
Yeah, closest enemy hero. At the start of the combat phase, if the infected hero is within 3 inches of any other units but not yours, you can fight with that hero against the enemy army.
Yeah.
So that's kind of hard. Like, your opponent's probably just going to make sure that hero is always within.
Yeah.
But, you know,
it's I feel like that's kind of a control play.
It is.
Rather than like a pure damage thing. Although it could catch him off guard where it's just like, that guy's mine now for this turn. And then for the rest of the game, they have to like keep him apart.
Yeah, and you have to, like, this is great for, you know, they got to make sure Archeon is within your lines and not just theirs.
I'm sorry, that just made me so happy.
Because
because he will annihilate anything.
Right?
that
Yeah.
he's
And
near.
it's like the Kron Spine.
Yeah.
Where you don't want it to go wild when it's within your army because no one can retreat from it and it will just treat your units as enemies.
Yeah.
It's like that except you get to pick. It's not perfect. It's not going, but there will be times where it wins you games.
Yeah.
Any good opponent is just going to make sure that their power piece is not within 13 inches, or is not the closest within 13 inches, or is within 3 inches of your model.
Yeah.
Or it's just not within 3 inches of their own.
Yeah.
But every now
Again,
and then,
a lot of qualifiers on it.
every now and then you know there can be game circumstances that make that not feasible, and that's where this shines.
Yeah.
And the other ones are usually just damage, spreading damage.
The great part is you get to pick when you roll.
Yes.
So it's not like any of the ones where it's like, oh, I'm going to do this before I roll and find out like if it mattered.
Nope.
Yep. You roll, you get the 6+, and you can pick anyone you want.
So those are the abilities. Enhancements. We're not going to go through all of these.
Yeah, there's 3 per clan plus 3
Plus one.
plus 1 generic one.
One generic one. The generic one is one of the best ones.
Yes.
Which is just if you fight.
It's debatably one of the best ones. Like, it's really good on certain things, but like kind of doesn't do anything on other things.
Okay, it's one of the best ones on anything that wants to fight.
Yes.
Because it's just, if in the combat phase, if you fight somebody, and then these are command traits, so they only go in your general.
Mm-hmm.
So this only works on a general if he is A, not unique, sorry, thankful, and B, is a general who wants to fight. If you fight somebody who hasn't fought yet, +2 attacks.
Yep. The once again, the exception being Clan Verminus, because they can use their heroic action to put it on something.
Correct. Yes, so you don't need to take this on Clan Verminus. Right. Unfortunately, that only affects Claw Lords.
Yes.
And not the Verminous thing you probably want to be fighting with +2 attacks, which is the Warbringer. I would rather just, I mean...
Yeah. Oh, yeah, and it's +2 attacks on all of their weapons?
Like the Warbringer.
Like the Warbringer.
We'll get to him when we get to the scrolls. Yeah. Oh, boy.
He's got some combos.
That's probably one of the... That's, very good. My favorite Master Clan one, there is Master of Magic, which is just reroll all casting, dispelling, and unbinding.
Yeah. Isn't there one called Master of Magic in the generic book?
Yes, but that is only reroll one casting roll.
Okay.
Or one. It's not as good.
Got it.
It's not all of them all the time, which is very good. What's your favorite Scryer one?
They're a little weird because the first one is when again, a lot of stuff we got to get into later. When a weapon team near them would die because they were hidden, they don't die. That one's a little like...
There's uses for that,
there's
certainly.
uses for
if
it,
you're
but
going
it's not...
heavy on weapons teams,
yeah,
that's good.
The one that probably get used the most is you get +2 warp sparks. Just because it's a random roll. I didn't mention it the first time.
Yes.
It's D3 +3, and if you have at least 3 Scryer Heroes, it's D6 +3. So it's just random, and then making it D6 +5 is crazy.
11 warp storm sparks. Woo!
And that's not including
so
artifact
anyway, I
hits
started
later.
blasting.
The best thing. The best one is probably the Deranged Inventor, which is you get to pick a Scryer unit wholly within 13, add 1 to the hit rolls for missile weapons for that turn.
Yep.
So it's basically like a free
It's
all-out attack.
Yeah, it's an all-out attack that doesn't use a command ability.
Yep.
And therefore can stack with other command abilities.
Yep. So if you need, again, Storm Fiends will be at a regular comment that we will be making because they're amazing. Just getting +1 to hit, fantastic.
For Molder, one of them is just a 3-up wound pass bodyguard.
Yep, always good.
Not bad. It's like what Master Clan always gets. Not terrible. +1 to hit and rune rolls for attacks made by friendly fighting beasts wholly within 13. Not bad because, once again, not a command ability.
Yep.
And +1 to hit and wound.
And I think fighting beast is everything except for the Hell Pit Abomination.
Yes.
Yeah, it's all. It's
or maybe
it's,
I think rat swarms might also not count, but they don't matter in any way, shape, or form.
Yeah. They're cheap, and that's the end of my sentence.
Yes. And then the last one is basically if one of your pack units is destroyed anywhere on the field, they get to come back on a 3-up.
Which is awesome.
Which is awesome, except that the Master Molder already has that.
Yeah, but
that's for if you're not bringing Master Molders as your... But you will.
You literally have to.
Well, you could bring a... Yeah, because the Packmasters aren't heroes, are they?
No, Packmasters aren't heroes, and they don't have Vermin Lord. So you literally have to.
Yeah, that's the worst one.
Your replacement? See, I think that was good.
Eshin. So you can have somebody count an Eshin hero count as 2. Fine. Yeah, I'm not going to go over this. Incredible Agility is just you can fly. And you get Finest Hour twice instead of once.
Which also sounds good on a Demon Lord.
And then there's one where you can't get shot with your By an Inch of a Terrain feature.
Which is awesome.
End of story.
Yeah.
The problem is Incredible Agility is really good.
Yes.
Because that can let your Deceiver fly.
Yeah, which is stupid.
The problem with the other ones is that Deathmasters aren't very good.
Well, they can also Finest Hour twice in one game.
Yeah, which is very good on Deceiver.
Yes.
For Clan Verminous, negate the first 2 wounds caused every phase is probably the best.
Yeah.
Because that's making somebody very tanky.
Mm-hmm.
Again, you can use the Verminous ones on a Claw Lord if you have 3 Claw Lords.
Yep.
You could just decide to, for this turn, He ignores the first 2 wounds every phase if you just really need him to survive.
Yeah. One of my other factions is Soulblight Gravelords, and I use Manfred a lot, and he has the first wound every turn, the first wound every phase, just gone.
Yep.
So the first 2 every phase is pretty sweet.
Yeah. And then finally we have Pestilence. +1 to chanting rolls is probably your best one there.
Yeah, probably.
Add 1 to damage characteristic of Plague Claw catapults.
That one's weird because they have a D6 or 2D6 if you have like special rules. So it's like D6 plus 1.
Yeah, it makes it sound even worse, doesn't it? Yeah. All right. Artifacts. There are so many artifacts. We must not go through all of these individually. I'm going to pick my favorite. Do you have a favorite?
Yeah, but I think it's also your favorite.
What is it going to be?
Skaven Brew?
Yeah, Skaven Brew. Skaven Brew is the good old +1 attacks. You use it on a friendly unit. It has to be one other friendly unit, so you cannot use it on yourself. Verminlord sweep.
Yeah.
But you could use it on a Verminlord.
As long as they're not the one with it.
Yeah. And these are just an artifact, so they don't have to be on your general. They get +1 attack, and they suffer D3 mortal wounds.
Yep. Really good on groups of guys like Storm Vermin and Clan Rats and Pestilence.
Plague Monks.
Plague Monks. Like giving +1 attack to all those guys.
Especially if you then hit them with Death Frenzy and they fight on death, because they get to keep that +1 attacks.
Death Frenzy is very good.
Yeah. That goes off in the hero phase, by the way.
Yes.
So it lasts the whole phase.
Until your next hero phase, so it's on your opponent's turn too. And then they double turn, and then you get wiped out anyway. No, I'm just kidding.
And then you get to attack again. I don't see the problem.
Yeah, that's all great.
Functioning as intended.
I don't actually not a huge fan. Okay. So I've heard some things about the brass orb being an auto include. I don't think it's an auto include. I think it's like they're like, okay, so what the brass orb does is it's once per game. You get to pick in your hero phase, pick an enemy unit within 6 of the bearer, which means you haven't moved yet, and you have to be within 6 of the big scary thing. Problem number 1.
And you can't Skitterleaf him there because that's 9. And you can't
because
Dread Skitterleaf him because that's
less
outside of 6.
Yeah, outside of 6.
Right.
And on a 3+, you roll a dice. On a 3+, you can remove it from the battlefield, and then at the end of the turn, they set that thing up in their deployment zone. So you get to remove a thing for a turn in your hero phase, and then it goes back to their deployment zone.
It goes to their territory.
Oh, and their territory.
And wholly and more than 9 from all enemy units.
Yes.
So, couple things.
Yeah.
Yes, you can use this to completely remove something from the game, because if they can't set it back up, it doesn't get to come back.
In the low chance that they can't set it back up.
With gnaw holes and with our teleportation, it is possible to engineer that situation.
It would have to be a very small territory.
Yes. Yeah, and there's certain battle plans where this is amazing.
Yes.
Like, because there are certain battle plans, we'll talk about this in the GHB, but there are certain battle plans where you can block almost all of it off with a couple units.
Yeah.
And if you teleported a couple gutter runners in there and then you remove Archeon from the field,
I'm iffy about how useful it is.
it's very niche.
Yeah. People are saying that it auto kills Marathi, and it doesn't.
So the way it works with Marathi is that you could, in theory, remove Big Marathi from the board. If she can't come back, that's great. You removed Big Marathi because I expect this to get FAQ'd to say that it cannot do that to like
X wounds or above.
Yeah, or something like that.
Monsters.
The big thing about Marathi is that rules as written, little Marathi can only pass wounds if Big Marathi is on the field.
Yes.
If she's not on the field, you can just shoot little Marathi in the face until she dies.
Yeah.
That is tech. That does mean, however, that you have to be within 6 inches of Big Marathi at the start of the phase.
Yep. At the start of the hero phase.
Yeah. At the start of the hero phase, roll a 3 up. But the big part is you have to be within 6 inches of Marathi at the start of the hero phase and not be dead.
Yes. On a Scryer hero,
which there are no Vermin Lords.
Nope. It is 3-foot heroes.
One of them's in power armor and has a 3-up save.
Yeah, but he's going to die to Marathi.
He sure is. So yeah, this is not the end-all be-all that people are saying it is.
Yeah.
It is shenanigans, though.
Yes.
And
shenanigans are always fun. Even if you like take a I actually don't remember their name, but a cabbage from the orcs. Maw-Crusher. You take a Maw-Crusher off the board, put it back in their deployment zone, gets rid of it for like a little bit.
And certain
it's still
things,
good.
like they're if you put Gotrek on the back of the field, you've
super
ruined
slow,
his life. You've ruined his day.
Yes.
Because go back to your deployment zone, little dwarf.
It is an enemy unit. It doesn't have to be a hero.
No, you can remove entire units.
So like they teleport something in, or like they have some zombies that are in your way, and you're just like
smoke bomb
back there now. Yeah. it is an interesting tactic.
Brass Orb.
It's probably very good, especially if you're taking 2 artifacts, like if you're taking a Warlord Battalion or something.
The big thing is that Scryer doesn't have great other
artifacts
anyway.
Are fine. You get an extra Warpstone Spark that you can only use on that guy per turn.
Doubling move characteristic on War Machines.
Which is literally only the 3-inch move Warp Lightning Cannon and the 4d6-inch move.
Not the, what about the Doomflayer?
That might be a War Machine.
That's
also 2d6 movement.
Yeah, it is 2d6 movement, and it gets to hide in something. So
yes.
Yeah, no, that's not great.
It's not.
Brass Orb is probably
unless you want to rocket 48 inches across the board with a Doom Wheel, and you get very lucky.
Witness me is all I'm going to say to that.
Yeah, Brass Orb's probably the best one. Some of the other ones are interesting in like niche scenarios. None of them are like huge. Oh, what was the one? Is it in here?
Is it Gnaw Bomb? Because that was what I was going to pull out.
No.
While you're looking for it, Gnaw Bomb is for Eshin. You can turn a terrain feature into a Gnaw Hole.
Ah, yeah.
That's good. That's
good.
Great. Because Gnaw Holes give you +1 to chant and +1 to cast, and then you can use them to teleport.
The one that I think you brought up in a conversation before this was the Blistravis the Living Cyst.
Oh, yeah.
You get first strike. Only in Pestilence, but you get first strike. And that,
if you made a charge move.
If you made a charge. But that combined with the auto flee means that basically, unless you want to, your heroes can't really like.
As long as you charge.
As long as you charge.
Yeah.
And the downside with it is it does have to be passed around to your Pestilence heroes. So and it doesn't say pendulum, or I keep saying pendulum.
Furnace.
Furnace.
Yeah.
Furnace.
So you could give that to the Furnace, which gets strike first. And the Furnace is not bad in combat.
No, it's not. Oh my god.
We'll get to that.
Yeah.
So there's a lot of artifacts. There's some ones that are absolutely stupid. Speaking of strike first, Shadow Magnet Trinket for Eshin. There is an artifact that gives you strike first once per battle. That can be amazing on a Vermin Lord, because it means you can either use that to retreat and run away, or you can just use it to hit first. Spell lores. There's only 2 spell lores and 1 prayer scripture. So, Lore of Ruin, only Scorch is terrible.
Scorch is very bad.
Scorch is
I used it in the one game that I played on my.
Awesome. Scorch is awful. Yep. You ignore Scorch.
I used it on the one game that I played, and it literally did nothing.
Yeah, it most of the time it's going to do absolutely nothing. It's Mortals on 6s. Whatever.
The other 2
are amazing.
Actually amazing.
Skitter Leap is you teleport a friendly hero, including yourself.
Yep.
9 inches away from enemy units. Goes off on a 6.
Which is not even hard, especially when you're getting
anywhere on the battlefield. 9 inches.
+3 to cast.
Yes. And the other one is Death Frenzy, which is you cast it on any non-hero unit.
Yep.
So you cannot Death Frenzy a hero. No
That's
Death Frenzying your Vermin Lords. We'll get to that. I've said that a lot, but Death Frenzy is they fight on death.
Yeah. So again, with the Clan Rats or the Plague Monks or any of that stuff, like they have a bad save. They're probably gonna die.
They're gonna die, but they'll get a fight in.
Yeah.
This book is about, and I forget who said this, whoever you're out there. It's someone on the AOS Discord, or AOS Coach Discord.
Yeah.
This book is about trading up.
Yes.
This entire army is trade up.
Yeah.
And that
between the Death Frenzy and the explosiveness of Scryer and the low saves but high damage.
You are going to die.
Yes.
Like, at the end of the game, it is very probably you will have a unit left. But if you trade up, you won. And Death Frenzy is one of the best tools for trading up because it can punish your opponent. Like, oh, my Storm Vermin, which are Galatian veterans by default. They have to be. You're doing double damage against them? Well, that's great, but they're all going to fight you before they die.
Yep.
And yeah, if a Maw Crusher charges into your Storm Vermin and wipes out 20 of them, that's great, but that Maw Crusher just got hit by 40 attacks.
Yeah.
That hurts.
It does.
Like, a lot. Combine that with some other buffs. And then the lore of Galvanism. I'll let you go over this because there's only one of these that remotely matters.
No. Well, kind of. So the more warp power is hands down the best one. It is add 1 to hit and wound rolls for attacks made by a unit within 13, a Scryer unit within 13. They take D3 mortal wounds at the end of the turn because, again, Scryer's thing is damaging yourself for power. Sorry, that's been bothering me for a little while. And the other 2 are fine. One is
Chain Warp Lightning, I will argue, is not fine because it hurts your own units too.
yeah, that's fair.
Chain Warp Lightning is terrible.
We damage ourselves. It's great.
We're not Slaanesh. We don't get a benefit from that.
Yeah, that's true.
It's something that's part of our army. That doesn't mean we want to.
But if you like put them in the middle of something and it just explodes. Anyway, it's only 1 mortal wound, so it's not that great. And it's cast on a 7. I think it would be lower than that. The other one is fine. It's a shield that ignores the first 3 wounds they take. But if they take a 4th wound, they take 3 mortal wounds on top of that.
Yeah.
So it's basically it ignores chip damage, but then it just goes away and explodes. I like putting this on my engineer in the back, so that like they're like little shots. They have to put a little more into them to actually take them out. But their little shots will have less of a chance to even do anything to them.
Yeah,
that's the reason.
Requires
I
your
like
opponent to commit.
Yes, and again, the less that they're doing on your other units, the more that they're doing to him. Trading up is the hope.
The prayers for Pestilence. There's one that's a horde clearer with 5 up mortals. That's fine, but the problem is it's competing with +1 to wound rolls and flat +1 attacks.
Yes.
Goes off on 3s for all of these.
Yep.
Keep in mind, you can get +1 to your prayers pretty darn easily, or +2, or +3.
If you take 2 Pestilence heroes and they're within 13 inches, well, again, 2 Pestilence priests within 13 inches of each other, it goes off on a 2.
And one of them's, yeah, and like you don't even need to, or you just put them next to a Null.
Yeah, oh yeah, I forgot the Null gives +1 to chanting.
Yeah, super easy to get these off, and now your Plague Monks. Now, it's only for Clan Pestilence units, which are Monks and Censer Bearers, which are, we'll get to that, TM. I need that on a t-shirt.
That actually doesn't say it can't be the Plague Lord, though.
No, it is just Clan Pestilence units. You could put it on the Corruptor.
Yep, Corruptor, that's it.
Yeah, all right, we're going to skip Path to Glory because neither of us really play it.
Nope.
And it's Path to Glory, it's fun. So, we're not going to go
flavorful.
over each of the War Scrolls in general. Oh, sorry, I want to talk about Grand Strategies and Battle Tactics.
Yes.
I am on the board. I said this, I mean, obviously not with you because you haven't recorded with me before, but I hate that the books include these.
Oh, yeah?
Because it causes inequity between different factions, and we just saw that with the new GHB. The new GHB introduced Grand Strategies and Battle Tactics, which are way more difficult to achieve.
Yes.
So now, certain armies, Daughters of Cain, cough, cough, can just achieve them at list building, which really sucks. So ours, basically we have 3 Grand Strategies, which are, or 4 Grand Strategies, sorry, 5 Grand Strategies.
Which are basically all the same.
They're all the same. It's keep Master Clan and or Clan heroes alive.
Yeah.
Those are probably, like on the one hand, those are probably some of the easier ones you have the ability to take. The flip side is that none of our stuff is durable.
No. Unless you take like a bunch of behemoths, like the Bell or the...
you need 3 or more for each of these. If I took a Thanquol, a Vermin Lord, and one other hero, I just need to keep that one other hero alive.
Yeah.
But they're all going to be 5 up saves and 6 wounds. So, yeah, none of these are going to be easy.
You could take 3 behemoths. You could take Lord Screech and a Vermin Lord and Thanquol, and then have like 40 points
You know what? The Vermin Lords aren't unique. Let's just take 3 Warbringers.
That's true. Kill 3 Warbringers. I dare you, especially with Stormvermin next to them.
We'll get to that. 3 Warbringers and Stormvermin. And that's the list.
That's the whole army.
That's the whole army.
We did it.
You want to fight that? Because
I don't.
The battle tactics, one of them is pick 1 friendly Rat Ogres unit on the battlefield that has 3 wounds. If he has no wounds at the end of the turn, you get the point.
Woo.
Molder has the ability to heal wounds. Yeah. That's fine, but that does, Rat Ogres...
It's a very specific scenario.
Yeah.
Your Rat Ogres have to survive, which they're tougher than they look.
Yes.
They have to survive and be exactly 3 wounds allocated and have something to heal them.
Right.
And you have to, because I think it's a D3 wounds that they heal.
Yeah, it can be 3 or more wounds.
Yeah.
And there's other ways to heal, too.
Yeah.
But, yeah, it's not...
It's a lot.
Death Mark is pick 1 enemy hero unit on the battlefield that has a wound characteristic of 10 or more and doesn't have any wounds on it.
Yes.
If you kill it with Eshin units, you get the point.
Which sounds doable with
Deceiver,
some Eshin units.
I mean, yeah, a Deceiver, and Deceiver, Eshin unit just has to make the killing blow.
Mm-hmm.
So you could weaken it with other things. Eshin units are killy.
Yep. They put out a absolute ton of mortal wounds.
But it's certain. It's an enemy hero more than 10 wounds.
Mm-hmm.
Depending on what you're facing, this can vary wildly. Like against Daughters of Cain, that's gonna suck.
Yes.
Because they I think the only hero they have with more than 10 wounds is the. No, I don't think the altar is a hero.
Really, is it?
I'm not sure.
No, I think you're right. I think
So,
Altar's not a
because the
hero.
only more than 10 wound hero they have is Marathi, and
Mhm.
yeah.
not
You
killing
know, can you kill a Maw Crusher in one turn with just Eshin? If you focus fire the heck out of it, maybe.
Yeah, maybe.
Um,
Scryer is pick an enemy monster. Complete this tactic if you destroyed that unit with missile weapons by Scryer units. So again, you have to be very.
that one is again. It depends on what you're fighting.
Yep.
If an
If
enemy
they
has a
random
monster,
monsters, yep.
there are certain monsters that are not hard to kill.
Right.
And if you are packing a Scryer, you're probably going to kill things with ranged.
Yes. Again, with all the things we're talking about, the Warpstone Sparks and the.
And then finally, the easy one.
Yeah.
Complete this tactic if 3 or more prayers chanted by different friendly clans, Pestilence priests are answered.
Yeah.
Now, those
And-
have to be different ones.
Yep.
But if you are packing 3 Pestilence priests, and they're all
You
within
basically get that
13 inches of each other,
Whenever you want, as long as you have 3 of them alive.
as long as you don't roll that 1.
Yep.
You're just praying that you pick this turn 1, and you pray you don't roll the 1.
Now, see, I wouldn't pick it turn 1 if I was Pestilence.
Are you
I
going
would
to try and pick it after you get Red Moth, or
yes,
get the
after
Plague?
you get the reroll.
Yeah, after you get the Nether Plague? Yep. Yeah, that's absolutely fair. You
Because
pick-
turn 1, what's the one that everybody takes turn 1 now in the new GHB?
I don't remember right
It's
now.
not hold hands and run anymore.
No, because it's gone.
Yeah.
It's,
I like that one.
No tiptoe to the tulips.
Oh yeah, it's put a unit on a middle.
Oh, yeah, it's T-post for dominance.
Yeah, T-post for dominance. I like that.
All right, War Scrolls. Here, plug that bad boy over here. Yes, my boy. The one of, I think, 2 or 3 canon survivors from the old world, like without being reborn.
Mhm.
He just fell into the realm of chaos. Gotrek went after him, and they're both back. And both apparently the same person.
Sure.
I mean, Gotrek definitely is, and by all accounts, so is Thanquol.
Yeah.
Thanquol is the star of the series of novels, like Ratslayer and a few of the Gotrek books. He's Gotrek's arch enemy. He's a great character.
Oh, I actually didn't know.
Yeah, he fails upwards amazingly. He's always going wrong and always somehow. I think the Great Horde Rat just likes messing with him.
Oh, see, now I like him more now.
Yeah, no, he's a great character, and he's also now one of the best units in the book, maybe?
I think probably the best unit in the book.
It's hard to say that, because he's certainly one of the most versatile. So what does Thanquol do? Well, he's a hero monster with 14 wounds, 4 up save, 10-inch move, degrades, and his big thing is you can load his loadout is a mixture of warp fire projectors.
He is a customizable character, which is
Yes.
kind of few and far between.
Yeah, I'm trying to think of how many other those there are.
I play Slanesh, and the big
Keeper Secrets?
the named keeper.
Oh, not Nakari. It's not
No.
Nakari, because no.
No, it's not Akari.
I don't remember.
Yeah, the character keeper. You can pick like 3 different weapons.
Yeah, okay. And like that, so you pick between basically Warpfire Braziers, not Braziers.
That's a different video.
I keep saying that. That's a video you only see if you're never mind. And Warpfire Throwers. And the Warpfire Projectors are basically for every in the enemy unit, for every model, you throw 1 dice per Warpfire Projector you have.
Well, and it's in range.
Within range,
Yes.
which is 8 inches. Yeah, within 8 inches, yep. So, if you are attacking a unit of 20 Witch Elves, and you have 4 Warpfire Projectors, and all of those Witch Elves are within range, you throw 80 dice, because that is 1 per Warpfire Projector per enemy model in that unit. This is your Horde Clear.
Oh, yeah.
This is one of the best Horde clearing weapons in the entire game right now.
Yeah.
I would say, full stop. Because it's, for every 4 up is immortal on those dice. I guess I should say that.
Yes.
And that's what makes it really good, is because a lot of units in the game have these kind of Horde clear spells, but they're usually on 5s or 6s.
Yeah, not a 4 up.
Not a
and then
4.
times 4.
Right. Whereas the Warpfire Braziers are...
a really good stat line. Don't get me wrong.
Yeah. They're 3s to hit, 3s to wound, -2 rend, 3 damage, and...
You get 2 attacks per brazier that you have, so you
Right.
can have up to 8 attacks with that profile,
Right.
which is very good.
And additionally, Thanquol, Bone Ripper, the giant rat ogre he's riding, has Crushing Blows, which starts out at 6 attacks, degrades, 4s and 3s, -1, 2 damage.
Which is fine.
So he's not bad in melee. Basically, you get to choose how much melee and how much range you want on your Thanquol. A lot of people are talking about the 4 Warpfire Projectors.
Yes.
I think that's not the play now.
I am inclined to agree with you.
I think it's 2 and 2.
Really?
Because what is my 4 Warpfire Projectors doing against Sons of Behemoth? 2 mortals.
2 mortal wounds.
Yeah. And that's one example.
Yeah.
But hero monsters are not gone from the game.
Right.
They're not gone from the meta.
They arguably got slightly better than the previous meta.
Yeah, because you can't ignore the rampages anymore.
Yeah.
And he's a monster. He gets a rampage.
It's true.
Like, one of the GHB tactics is This One's Mine, which is your general wipes out a unit.
Mhm.
That's much easier to perform if you have a mixture of melee
a stat
and
line
ranged.
like this?
Yes. I'm saying a mixture of melee and ranged.
Got it.
So I think 2 and 2 is the play, but it's kind of customizable. It's kind of dependent on your local meta and what you plan to face.
It's nice that it's customizable.
Yes.
And you're right. The putting all Warpfire projectors is probably a mistake in some matchups, and putting all Braziers is a mistake in some matchups.
On the flip side, if you're facing a Night Haunt, 4 Warpfire, you win.
Yeah.
I think you just win.
Yep.
And
this is. Oh, we're not going over stupid stuff yet. We're just going over the.
Because
there's some stupid stuff.
Yeah, because you mentioned range, 8-inch range.
Yeah, weird.
If only there was some way to get super close, very quickly. I'll talk about Thankful, and then we'll talk about that because that's not in this book.
Right.
So I guess we'll talk about that in our list.
It's a combo.
Yeah. Don't pay the ferryman is all I'm saying. Don't even fix a price. Thankful himself is a double caster.
Gets +3 to cast.
Yeah, so he has a degrading bonus to his cast that starts out at +3.
Which is, one of the best ones in the game.
Yeah, +3. A +3 double caster. Also +1 from Nahals.
Yeah.
So +4 double caster.
Lovely.
Hi, Techless. Yeah, he's great. He's got a 5-up ward, so he's only got a 4-up save, but he's got a 5-up ward.
It should be mentioned that as of currently, he can't take any spells.
He
in
cannot
this
take.
book.
So the lore of Gracier, the lore of Ruin, does not say Graciers only, including uniques.
Yes,
because he does have the Gracier keyline, but they didn't write that in on there,
which is a new thing for 3rd edition.
I am 90% certain that is a mistake.
Yes,
and that when we get the FAQ for Skaven Sylvan FGHB, it'll say add that.
Yeah,
when he's able to take Skitter Leap. Oh.
he himself cannot Skitter Leap.
No, because he's too big.
But giving a +4 to cast Skitter Leap is very
means
good.
you just get to Skitter Leap.
Yeah.
He's got a 5-up ward.
Oh, yes, I rolled a 16.
He can double issue command abilities.
Yes.
When you issue command ability, you can issue it again for free. It lets you issue the same one twice.
Mm-hmm.
Have you ever wanted to unleash hell with both Thankful and a unit of gutter runners next to you? You get to now.
Yep. All out attack on 2 different units, all out defense in 2 different units.
Yes.
Super
He
strong.
heals D3 wounds per phase, per turn.
Per phase.
At every end of every combat phase.
Yeah.
Sorry.
So each turn, so mine and my opponent's.
Yes.
Which is stupid.
He has something called Warpstone Addiction, where in your hero phase, when you attempt to cast a spell, you can eat a Warpstone token. You roll 3d6, which cannot be reroll or modified. If the 3d6 is 13, the spell goes off, can't be unbound, and you get d6 mortals.
Yes. Which is the same thing a regular Gracier.
Yes. The difference is that
I think the Bell has it too.
they don't have 14 wounds to play with.
Yes.
If it's not
Does
13,
he have a ward?
5-up.
Ooh.
And by the way, it does not say that those mortal wounds cannot be negated.
Right.
If it's not a 13, you get to pick one of those dice, you pull it out, and you use the 2d6 as your roll.
You have advantage on your
So,
casting.
this does not say, it says use the remaining 2d6 as the casting roll.
Mm-hmm.
Bonuses to cast are applied after the casting roll.
Yes.
So, it's not clear whether this is intended, and this is a little fuzzy, but rules as I'm reading it, you then get to apply your +3 to that roll.
Yeah, I would think so.
Also, the math says that if you don't do that, that is flat worse than just taking the +3.
Yes.
Universally.
It's essentially a +2, on average.
Yes.
So yes, it would be unless you get a 13 and then you auto cast.
Thankful also has Madness, which is one of the worst spells in the game. Moving on. You'll never use it. It's terrible. It's
pretty bad.
It's pretty bad. All right, so then we get to Screech. Screech is the only named Vermin Lord, which means no command abilities and no enhancements.
Yeah. Or spells, because he is a caster. They're all casters.
I'm going to say right off the bat that the fact that he cannot take any of those enhancements makes him my least favorite Vermin Lord.
And he's also the most expensive.
Yes, he's very good. Dreaded 13th spell is something that can kind of spawn clan rats. It's our only summoning, but it's not great.
Yeah, it's fine.
He is also a double caster with a 5-up ward.
Every single one of them, I believe, is a double
Yes,
caster.
they're all double casters. They all have 5 up wards, I think.
I know the Bell and the Furnace do.
Well, I meant the Vermin
I don't know
Lords.
about the Vermin Lords.
Yep. Yeah, they do. Okay, so has a command ability which is +1 to hit and wound.
Mhm.
It's one of the only ways to give that ability to Thanquol,
I mean, sure.
if you're going to run both of them in the same list.
Mm.
He's Master Clan, by the way.
Yeah.
So is Thanquol. So for the purposes of that previous thing we talked about, these guys both count as Master Clan. The thing about Screech is that he gets to pick once every hero phase, he gets to pick a different area to specialize in for that turn.
Yes.
You can only pick each one once, and none of them are particularly great.
Yeah.
Like, they're fine. And he's good in combat. He's got Prehensile Tails. He's got the Doomglaive and the Plague Reaper.
Yeah. He's fine.
13 wounds, 4 up save, 10 bravery.
Yeah.
Yeah, he's fine. It's just, I don't know. He's really expensive for what he does. I think as a Master Clan hero, he's outclassed by Thanquol.
Yeah.
Which
As
is
a Master Clan hero, he's outclassed by Thanquol. He's more expensive and
As a
probably
Vermin Lord, he's outclassed by, I think, a couple of the others.
Yeah. Specifically the Verminous and
the Warbringer.
Deceiver.
Yeah. So, speaking of that, the Deceiver. Tied, I think, for the best Vermin Lord.
Yeah.
With the Warbringer. The Deceiver, he's good in combat. He is good in range. He's got the Doomstar, which is a 13-inch missile weapon range. He does do every 6 to hit is 2 mortal wounds for his range weapons, but not his melee weapons.
Nope.
Which is interesting because all the other Eshin units have that
Have it
on
on
all their weapons. The big thing about him is that he has Dreaded Skitter Leap on his War Scroll.
Yep.
Which is just Skitter Leap, so you get to 13 or less Skaven hero, including himself. He can Dreaded Skitter Leap himself.
Yep.
You remove from the battlefield and pop up anywhere 6 inches from enemy units.
Yes. Not 9.
Not 9. 6.
So he's teleporting around the board and murdering whatever he wants.
And it goes off on a 6.
Yeah.
And he's a double caster.
Yeah.
No bonus.
No bonus.
But the other big thing is that he has Shrouded in Darkness, which is you cannot shoot him from more than 9 inches away.
Which is so good. That's the thing that I think pushes him over the edge as probably the best one.
Yeah, I
Can't be shot at is a big deal.
I think it's a tie. We'll
Really?
get to that for the other one. Because
so good.
is there a big difference between not being able to be shot at and I have a 2-up wound shrug, so go ahead and shoot at me?
I think yes.
Yeah,
Because your stuff is still dying, and if they're being shot at, then it's not in melee, so they're not fighting again.
Right.
And I think
well, if they are in melee and they get shot, they get to
that's
fight.
true. That's true.
But no, you're right, and you do have to bring the Storm Vermin for that, which costs points.
And they have to keep up with him because he's a 12-inch move at.
No,
unlimited.
yeah, he might be the best.
He's the second most expensive.
Yes, you pay for it.
Yeah, but he's very good.
And he's Eshin, of course. He's targeted damage. 6 attacks, 3s and 2s, neg 3, 2 damage on his melee.
He's strangely almost better at ranged because he has 2 different ranged weapons.
Which is, I think, intentional, because that's kind of Eshin's
because
thing.
Eshin is the ranged one that doesn't kill
D6 range
themselves.
attacks, 3s and 3s, neg 1, 2 damage, but you're fishing for mortals on that.
Yeah.
Which kind of, the D6 sucks.
And the tails. Why is there a star in the tail?
The tails degrade.
Oh,
4
no-
attacks,
number of
3s and 3s,
attacks.
neg 1, 1 damage. The tails are the same on all of them.
Yeah.
It's the prehensile tails.
Does he still get the mortal wounds on the tail, or is that just on the Doomstar?
It is just on the Doomstar.
Just on the Doomstar.
Yeah. So,
Boo.
yeah, he's not actually
He's not
that
the most offensive.
much damage.
Yeah. Which I believe the Warbringer is the most.
Yes, he can hurt. So then we get from the most expensive non-name to the least expensive, the Corruptor.
We don't have to go over all of these.
No, I don't.
Yeah.
And that's what I'm just going to say. The Corruptor is your Pestilence version.
It is, if you're going pure Pestilence, the only way to get a wizard.
Yeah.
Because he's a wizard and not a priest.
He's the cheapest, and he earns it.
Yep.
He's got a Horde Clear spell.
Yeah, all of them have the Dreaded spell, which is like something but upgraded.
And his Dreaded Plague is every 4-up some mortal.
Yep. Rather than a 5-up, which is what the other one is.
Well, we're going to skip over the Warbringer and go to the Deceiver, or the Warp Seer, because I also think the Warp Seer is not terribly important.
I agree.
The big thing the Warp Seer does is he gives 10 bravery to everybody within 13 inches.
Which is a big deal because they did lose their auto pass morale.
And he counts as 2 for the purposes of getting the Master Clan bonus.
Which is awesome.
Yes, but that's about it.
Yeah.
Warbringer. Hoo boy. Vermin Lord Warbringer. He is the Verminous version. Short version is he has Dreaded Death Frenzy, which is pick D3 units to get Death Frenzy.
Yep. Which
And
we've already said is fantastic.
He can reroll wound rolls when you're within a bunch of units.
He is probably by far the most killy.
He hits like an absolute truck.
And that's without any benefits. Like, you can give him the +2
Yeah.
attacks, so he has 8 attacks and 4 with his super strong weapon. And
Yeah.
he is a monster, no pun intended.
The big thing about him is he hits like an absolute truck.
Yeah.
And we'll get to this, but Storm Vermin absorb wounds for all Skaven heroes, including monsters.
Yep.
They do it on a 4-up, but they get a +2 to that roll if it's a Verminous hero.
Yep.
And that includes Mr. Warbringer. So now your Storm Vermin are absorbing wounds on a 2-up.
Yep.
Oh boy.
And then Death Frenzying.
And then you Death Frenzy them. So when they do absorb the wounds, they get to attack.
Yay.
Right. Yeah.
Combos.
He's very good.
Yep.
Gracier on Bell.
Josh does not like the Gracier on Bell.
No.
I
Am determined to make it work.
am determined to make it work. I can like completely ignore this like Vermin Lord thing because I don't own one yet.
And you will never get the Vermin Lord thing. Like,
You can.
your opponent is not going to attack this thing unless they know they can kill it.
It has a 5-up ward, and I can still throw because it's Master Clan. I can still throw wounds off from it to anything that's pushing it.
And it can Skitter Leap and Death Frenzy because it is a Gracier.
Yes, it can. It can't be Skitter Leap because
No.
it's 15 wounds, but it can Skitter Leap. And yeah, so it has 2 of the best spells in the book. It's +2 to casting and +1 to chanting, which is weird because once, as of currently, once per game it can, instead of being a wizard, be a priest for a turn. It doesn't gain any.
It gets the generic ones.
It gets all the generic ones, which is like
Bless and Smite.
yeah, deal damage to another priest
Yeah.
and what +1 to hit. I don't even remember what Bless does.
Bless is 6-up ward.
6-up ward, yeah. So that's not great. That's probably the thing that you don't care about.
Yeah.
But it's I think it's decent. My only problem with it is it still has to be pushed by a unit that's 10 or more. So it literally must be. I mean, it's flavorful. It literally must be surrounded by a unit that's at least 10 models, or it literally cannot move other than charging.
Yep.
So yeah, I just like it. I just think it's neat.
It is one of the most iconic Skaven units.
It is. It has the peel, which is every turn, in addition to its spells,
You
it
roll a
can-
d6 and something happens.
Something happens. It could be mortal wounds to itself. It could be mortal wounds to everything within every enemy unit within 13 inches of it. It could be what is it? A 5-up ward? No. -1 to hit everything within 13 inches of it. It's random, but it's cool.
It no longer has the roll of 13 and win the game.
Yes.
Which is good. We didn't need that.
And then Crack's Call is fine. Roll 2d6. If it's greater than the target's move characteristic, deal wounds equal to the difference. So it's good against slow stuff and bad against fast stuff, and it's fine. But I really like it as a Gracier with that's 2 spells cast with a +2 to cast. It is a big old wizard that could get into combat and actually do something.
I will say I think this has more of a place in any list that is not including any of the Vermin Lords or Thanquol.
Yes.
Because if you're not including any of those other big pieces and you have more room to play with other toys,
Yes.
he doesn't stick out so much.
And he's one of the cheaper options. He's
Yes.
325 points.
Yeah. Although the cheapest option is the Gracier. Basically, he has the same Warpstone tokens thing that Thanquol does, except they only suffer D3 mortal wounds,
If you get a 13.
and they don't get a huge boost to cast.
Yeah.
They are double casters, 5 wounds, 5-up save.
Yeah.
They have Wither, but it doesn't matter because you're using these guys to cast Dreaded, to cast
They're
Skitter
a double
Leap.
caster. You can do both.
Yeah, you're going to use these guys to cast Skitter Leap and Death Frenzy. And to buff out your Master Clans. All right, so now we have the 3 Scryer Heroes.
Yes.
Um,
They all have their own place.
yes. They're
so-
all wizards.
Yeah, all of them are wizards. The Archwarlock is a double caster.
The other
He's
2
level
are
2 wizard.
single casters.
Yeah, the other 2 are single casters. He is a little bit more expensive, and he has a 3-up save. These 2 are both a little bit weaker, having only a 5-up. But he is pure melee. He doesn't have a ranged attack.
He has a once per game ranged attack.
Yeah. D6. Nope, not that. Warpfire Gauntlet. There it is. Pick an enemy unit within 9. Roll a dice on a 2-up. They suffer D3 mortal wounds once per game.
Sure. Right, yeah.
But he is the double caster, so he is the wizard of Scryer. The engineer is the buffer because it has more warp energy. It sits in the back and buffs your Warp Lightning Cannons.
Yep.
Because it is the only one that can buff Warp Lightning Cannons now, which we'll get to that when we get to the Warp Lightning Cannons. And then the Bombardier has a decent ranged attack. It has an 18-inch range, D3 shots, 4 to hit, 3 to wound, -1 rend, and 3 damage a hit. But like everything in Scryer, can potentially take some damage to buff itself. It's D6 attacks if you risk one's damaging you.
Yeah.
So it's interesting. It is probably, I don't want to say the least used because 3 damage ranged attack is not bad.
No.
But like the Archwarlock is like the straight caster, and the engineer buff stuff. He's kind of the weird, like awkward one.
Yeah, the Bombardier doesn't have nearly as places like he used to.
Yeah. Well, I mean, to be fair, the engineer basically didn't have a place last edition.
Right. Yeah, because the Bombardier
was better.
Better. Right.
So I understand. And some people are thinking again that when the errata comes out that they're going to make it available to all of them to buff the Warp Lightning Cannon. I don't think they will.
Well, it does say that the fluff is Warlock Bombardiers are engineers who. Oh.
Oh wait.
No, they're not.
No, they're not.
Yeah. So the Archwarlock, there is some tech here to make him pretty terrifying in melee.
I've heard.
Because his Piston Claw is 4 to hit, 3s to wound, 2 rend, 3 damage.
Yep. With only 1 attack, but
there's ways to get these guys more attacks. Yeah. There's ways, to give him the command ability or the command trait for +2 attacks
on all of his weapons.
You can shrug wounds off with Storm Vermin. Yeah, there's ways to like buff these guys up and to do some funny things. But in general,
he's a wizard that can kick some butt.
Yes. Yeah. Like that halberd can hurt. So Scryer, crack your knuckles and get on board. We won't go super deep into Storm Fiends, except to say that they're just like they were last edition, which is terrifying.
Yes.
And expensive.
Absolutely horrifying and very expensive.
They're incredibly terrifying. They're absolutely expensive. To make their points, they really, really, really want more warp power.
Yes.
You absolutely need a Scryer hero to babysit these guys.
And preferably all the ranged weapons, as much as I hate to admit that.
Yes.
I prefer them in melee because their melee weapons are very good. But their ranged weapons with +1 damage is dumb.
Right. There is maybe some thought about maybe using the Grinder Fist on one of the guys in a unit if you reinforce the unit.
Because they have the ability to come in anywhere.
Right.
The normal deep strike rules, not within 9, which is very strong on a unit that's this terrifying.
Right.
But that does give up the Rattling guns, which is probably their best ranged weapon.
Right.
So there's a trade there. So yeah, again, if you reinforce them, you can make one of them Rattling gun, and one of them reduces their damage a little bit at ranged. But the grinders are a little better in melee.
Right.
Grinder Fist.
Yeah, you probably do want to get into melee with these guys anyway because they do have melee weapons that are good.
Yes, very good.
Even if you don't give them any of the upgrades, like Clubbing Blows is still not bad.
Yeah. 4s, 3s, no rend, 2 damage, 4 attacks.
Yeah.
Pretty sweet.
Storm Fiends are going to be one of the things that you might want to put in Bounty Hunters.
Yes.
Now, Bounty Hunters does not include their ranged weapons,
right?
But that does make them even more terrifying.
Yeah.
Anyway.
Minimum damage 3. Oh, I guess 1 is D3, but like damage D3 +1 or 3 just across the board on. Very good. My worry about that is it might be overkill. Because they already do a lot of damage. I guess it just depends on the meta.
Yeah.
Because if there's a lot of veterans that are going to be tough, Blight Kings.
Yeah, you'd want that against Blight Kings, right?
Because that would, 3 damage against Blight Kings is actually good. Whereas if you go up against a unit of Clan Rats or Skeletons or something, it's not going to be near as impressive. Because you're like, wow, I did 60 wounds. You had 20 guys. Yeah.
The Warp Lightning Cannon remains the same.
Yep.
It's you roll a dice for your power level, and then you try and roll at or lower than that dice for a number of mortals.
Yes.
You can choose to overcharge it to roll 12 dice instead of 6.
Yep.
This is a unit that will, some games you will roll 5s and 6s, and you will do nothing.
Mm-hmm.
And then one game you will roll a 1, and your opponent will take 12 mortals and not be able to do anything about it, and you will then explode.
Yes.
And it's great. These need an engineer to babysit them for that, for both, because more warp power doesn't work on them.
Right.
But they need to have an engineer nearby to do the whole.
Yes, and unlike the previous edition, the previous version of this book, one engineer can buff all of your cannons rather than each engineer buffing one cannon. So you can have 3 lightning cannons sitting in your deployment zone with an engineer behind them, probably shaking in fear, and just buffing all of them in 24-inch gun with that much mortal wounds.
24-inch ranged mortals is good.
Yes.
End of story. Yeah. That's a threat. And they're only 150 points.
Yeah. Decently cheap. I put 2 in every list I'm making.
Yeah, they're very good. Acolytes. So Acolytes were also kind of terrifying for previous editions.
Yes.
They are mobile ranged damage. They've got 6 up save, like they will die, and they've got 6-inch move.
And yep, 1 wound.
But they built in run and shoot.
Yep.
With a 9-inch range, 3s and 3s, -2 D3 damage. Warpstone Sparks works on these guys.
Yep. D3 plus.
Or I mean, more warp power works on these guys.
Yep. So you can make them 2s and 2s, -2, D3 plus 1 damage.
Yeah.
After running, so they have, and you can. I mean, technically their threat range is what 6 plus 6 because you can.
It's a 21-inch threat range.
Yeah, a
21
21-inch
plus
threat
6
on
plus
that.
9 inches. Yeah.
And they're only it's 75 points for 5 models.
Yes.
So 150 points for 10 shots. I think that's pretty good.
So both Storm Fiends and Battle. I guess we actually didn't talk about Battle Line. Whoops.
Yeah.
We forgot to. Battle Line, Clan Rats and Storm Vermin are always Battle Line. And then for every hero of a clan you bring, you unlock 1 unit as Battle Line.
Yes.
So if I brought 1 Scryer Hero, I could have 1 unit of Acolytes or Storm Fiends be Battle Line.
Yeah.
If I brought 2,
you could bring 2 of these, or 1 of each.
Yeah.
That kind of thing. And each clan, except for Verminus and Master Clan, have their own battle line that they can unlock.
Yeah.
And we'll go over those ones when we get to them in the book.
Doom Wheels. We're not going to spend a lot of time on that. We'll get to that when we get to the list because there's a funny list.
They became more expensive and only slightly got an upgrade. So I don't know how good they are. They are still my favorite model in the army.
The big thing about Doom Wheels is that they do mortals on all moves now and not just normal moves.
Yes.
So
it used to be if you run over a unit because they can move as though they had fly over things that have 3 wounds or less, then you can do D3 mortals to it, which is fine.
But now you can do D3 mortals when you do that.
Yep.
You do D3 mortals when you charge. You do D3 mortals when you pile in. With Master Clan, you can pile in twice, remember?
Yep.
And if you cast Death Frenzy on them, they can pile in again when they die.
Yes.
So you could, in theory, do 5 D3 mortals with one of these per turn.
Yes.
You're not going to.
No.
But you could.
And the fact that they have a 4d6 inch movement, they can move 4 inches or they can move 24
inches, yeah.
So yeah, they are utterly random like the rest of Scryer and except for the Storm Fiends.
We're going to combine the weapon, well, I guess not because they're kind of spread out. So we have the Warp Fire Thrower and the Rattling Gun.
Yeah.
Which are
so all the Warp Fire Throws in the book are the same.
Yep.
It's 8-inch range, it's count the number of models within 8 inches, and you roll a dice and it's 4 up to mortal wound.
Yep.
This one is, I mean, all of these are super cheap.
So let's talk weapons teams, like what they do.
The weapons teams are super cheap.
So Warp Fire Throwers, Rattling Guns, and Doom Flayers. The idea behind them is that they're super cheap. You stuff them into a unit of Clan Rats or Storm Vermin. They can pop out in either the combat phase or the shooting phase, depending on which type they are.
Yep.
They do their thing.
Yep.
If a unit dies before they get to pop out, they die too, unless you have the Overseer command point.
The one thing.
So Warp Fire Throwers are okay. Rattling Guns are cheap and not nearly as reliable.
No.
Much higher chance to blow themselves up.
Yeah.
Doom Flayers are really good.
Doom Flayers are very good.
Because Doom Flayers have D6 attacks, 3s and 3s, -2, 2 damage.
And then they can overpower for 2d6 attacks.
Right. Yeah. Warpstone or more War Power does work on Rattling Guns.
Yeah.
+1 damage. And you probably want that if you're going to bring Rattling Guns.
Yeah. And then the +1 to hit, you can do that too with
Yes.
the more Warp Power and the Warpstone Spark.
But they lost their rerolls.
Yes.
Which hurts them a lot.
Yep.
None of the weapon teams are probably like super great, but Doom Flayers are pretty terrifying.
Yeah, the Doom Flayer, being able to pop it up, first of all, make it a bounty hunter, make him 3 damage a hit. Ooh, that's really good. And then you can still give him +1 to hit and wound with more Warp Power.
Yes.
And so they're 2d6 attacks, 2s and 2s, -2, 3 damage on a veterans unit. That's going to, I mean, it's going to die.
Yeah.
You just have to accept that all of these are going to die.
Yeah.
They're
the
super
weapons
cheap.
the weapons teams especially are like the epitome of die.
Yeah. They're
Trade
going
up.
They're going to hit something that costs 100 or more points, hopefully do enough damage to get their points back, and then never be seen again.
Right. The Warplock Jezzails are probably one of the biggest downgrades from last edition
Yes.
because you can no longer reinforce them. They have the single keyword.
I am inclined to think that's a mistake.
I hope it is because it makes them kind of useless. Because
You get 3 shots, 3s and 3s, -2, 2 damage, and I mean, you can buff it. It's three shots total because there's 3 guys in the unit.
Yeah.
And you can buff it with stuff because they're Scryer. And they deal mortal wounds on 6s to hit.
Yeah, they're discount Vanguard Raptors with none of the mobility except from knotholes.
Yeah.
And, a 30-inch range gun is always a threat.
Yeah.
The problem is that they're competing with space against lightning cannons.
Yeah.
And they don't
And
take
they're
buffs
almost
well.
the same points.
Yeah, they're almost the same points. They don't take buffs well because you can't reinforce them.
Yeah.
If you could put these guys in 6s, it
Yeah.
would be a very different story. Because then they would take more warp power very well,
Mhm.
and they would be terrifying. As it stands,
Yeah.
I don't think they're useless, but
They're much worse than they were.
And-
They were very good.
Warp Grinder, the last one, not a weapons team. The Warp Grinder, his entire thing is that you put the Warp Grinder aside, and you put one unit aside with it, and you get to Deep Strike.
Yep. You can Deep Strike. I believe it's any.
Yep.
So it's not a monster, not a war machine. It's
Yep.
anything else in the book.
So no Vermin Lords, no Thankfuls.
Yep.
No lightning cannons.
Yeah. Well, you can't. Are the big boys war machines? Actually, I can just turn the page. Haha.
No.
Oh, they are war machines.
Oh, they are?
So
Okay.
you can't do it with the
Furnace or the bell.
Furnace or the bell.
Yeah, so Warp Grinders are... Do you want to pay 65 points for a Deep Strike?
Yeah.
They can also do damage.
Yeah, they have the same profile as the Doomflayer. They just can't overcharge it.
Yeah, but, 3s and 3s, neg 2, 2 damage. Like,
They'll do a little bit.
that
of damage.
hurts.
Yeah.
D6 attacks? You roll 6 attacks, that's in theory 12 damage.
Yeah. Possible.
Like, that hurts. That's a threat, but they're going to die.
Yep.
Yeah, it's a 65-point Deep Strike. All right, we get to Pestilence. Let's start with the Plague Claw, because the Plague Claw is absolutely useless.
What? I like it
Why?
because it's big stupid barrage of disease thingy. So it looks bad on the surface. It's one attack.
And it's a 20-year-old model, so it looks bad.
That's fair. Oh yeah, we didn't talk about the models when we were back in the acolytes. 3 to hit, 2 to wound, neg 2 rend, d6 damage. If you shoot at something that has 10 or more models, it's +1 to hit, so it's 2s to hit, and 2d6 damage.
Mhm.
And they get -2 to battle shock. Add 2 to their battle shock rolls at the end of the turn if they survived. They're only 135 points for a 30-inch gun.
They also don't need line of sight.
They don't. Oh yeah, they don't need line of sight.
Which-
They sit on an objective in the back and just shoot at whatever they want. And
They
deal.
duel with Sentinels and lose.
Yeah, exactly. Yeah.
Um,
I think they're cool. I don't know if it's as good as a Warp Lightning Cannon, but they're 15 points cheaper.
the one attack is what kills it for me, because we don't have any rerolls anymore.
No, there's no
Like,
rerolls.
rerolls are going away in 3rd edition.
So it's what? Let's say you get +1 to hit. So you're 2s and 2s. So you have a 16% chance
Yeah.
to roll a 1, and then another 16% chance to roll a 1.
Yeah.
And then they have an armor save at -2.
Right. Like, yeah, it's just... And
Is this the same problem with the OBR catapult? Is it's only 1 attack?
yeah, kind of.
And
And 2d6 damage, I mean, you can roll 2, though, is the problem.
you could roll 2.
Like, yeah, I don't know.
Oh no, you could get +1 damage if you take that Pestilence Warlord trait earlier.
Like I said, that was like the worst trait.
Yeah, it is.
Yeah, I don't brook Plague Claws a lot for that reason.
I actually just don't like how it looks,
I mean, it also does look awful. The Wart Lightning Cannon looks so much better.
even though it's the same kit.
Yeah, but and yet.
Yeah.
So let's go back to somebody who is good. Your Plague Priest.
Yes.
5 wounds, 6 moves, 5 save. They hit okay in melee for their cost. They're 90 points. They subtract wound rolls for everybody within 3 inches. Enemies within 3 inches.
All of.
Or
the-
sorry, no, anybody that targets them.
Yes. I believe all of the Pestilence except for the Plague Claw have that, and the Verminord.
Okay, yeah.
Yeah. Minus. So that includes the stuff later. But yeah, -1 to be wounded is pretty good.
They can heal other Pestilence units with.
Yeah, with their spell or their.
Yeah,
Prayer.
which doesn't super matter because there's like only 2 or 3 multi-wound Pestilence units.
Yeah. Well,
The Furnace, basically. You can heal the Furnace.
you can heal the Furnace. You can heal Priests, and then
The Corruptor.
Sensor Bearers are 2 wounds.
Oh, yeah, you're right. I forgot about that.
So if they've taken 1 wound, you can.
Basically, these are your priests.
Yeah.
They're there to cast, to
only
chant the
100
spells that we
points.
talked about. They're
They're
90 points.
No, they're 100.
They're 100?
Yeah.
Okay.
The other 2 are 90. The
Oh, right.
monks and the.
Plague Priests on Furnace. Let's come back to that one, because that was a lot.
Yeah. it's-
Your Plague Monks are 90 points. They have a 6-up save. It doesn't matter.
Nope.
Because they will die in droves, but that's not the point. There is super easy to get them multiple attacks. They get +1 attack just by charging. There is the chant for Rabid, which is another +1 attack. They start out with 2. So now you're talking guys who have 4 attacks on the charge, and then you hit them with Death Frenzy, and then they get to charge, die, because they will, and then fight again.
Yep.
Plague Monks are back. Like, that's what they do.
Yeah.
Um,
I think the only thing that makes them like comparable to clan rats is that clan rats are 100 for 20 and these are 90 for 10.
Yes. Two different units, in my opinion.
Yeah, two different units, but like they handle similar roles in different parts of the army.
Yeah. The big thing is that clan rats are defensive.
We haven't done the clan rats yet.
I know. I was double checking. I forgot they weren't at the front of the book.
Yeah.
Clan rats are defensive. They're a defensive blob. They take up a lot of space.
Yeah.
And they have 20 moves.
Yep.
And clan rats come back. These guys are missiles that
Pure
you
offensive.
launch to the enemy and they explode.
Yes.
They also buff clan rat sensor bearers, or they buff plague monk sensor bearers by +1 to wound.
Yes. Which is when you see the profile on them, it's ridiculous.
These guys do not have the -1 to wound thing.
Oh, they don't?
No, they do not. They do not have. Which yeah, that's not their point.
Yeah, one of the texts. No, you're right.
Nope. Right. Speaking of plague sensor bearers are, it's like 90 for 5 of them.
90 for 5, yeah.
2 wounds each, still a 6-up save. 3 attacks, 3s and 3s, neg 1, 2 damage. Easy to get +1 to wound on them with the plague monks. Again, these guys also get +1 attacks if they charge.
So 4 attacks, 3s and 2s.
Yes. 4 attacks native. You can also give them rabbit.
Everything that we just said about
Death
the last
Frenzy.
guys.
Plague sensor bearers are per point the single most damaging unit in this book.
Yes.
Properly supported, they will wipe almost anything. They only have 1-inch range.
I would like to see the math on a Mega Gargant.
I forget how many you need. 5 of them won't do it, but
No.
you can do it. You just need to be buffed right. They can do it.
Fair.
These guys they will die in droves, but they just hit
That is
so hard.
That is the Pestilence way.
Yes.
So the Scryer way is killing yourself. The Pestilence way is dying and then killing them anyway.
Right. Sensor bearers are some of the best units in the book. I would expect them to go up in points eventually in like the winter points change.
It would be great if they had a new model.
That is I was going to say that for the end. I'm trying not to
Oh,
snark.
okay, sorry.
I'm trying not to say that because if we say that, I'll be saying that for every model in the book, Mitchell. There should be a sign right here that just says it'd be great if they had a new model.
Yeah.
For anybody who's not Thankful or a Vermin Lord.
Yeah.
We're gonna go back to the Plague Priest on the Furnace.
Yeah.
So the Plague Priest on the Furnace is a priest. So he still gets to chant. He's not a double chanter or anything. He's still a single chanter. They have to be pushed into battle just like the bell.
Yeah.
The big thing about these guys is they have a -1 to wound roll for if you're near by them.
Yep.
They have a 5-up ward.
And immune to battle shock within 13 inches.
That's the huge one.
It is.
This is
so
like for
good.
some reason the bell doesn't have immunity, and it should.
It really should.
It really
it has
should.
the peel
It's the
instead.
damn bell. It should.
Yeah.
But the Furnace got it. Between the 5-up ward, the -1 to wound, and having 15 wounds, this is one of your tankiest units in the book.
Yeah.
Which is kind of weird that the Pestilence unit is the tanky one.
Yeah.
But it is. If you're looking for something to hold the line.
And the ability to heal.
It heals itself. It can heal itself with a chip chance. It does mortal wounds with a giant sensor.
Yeah. D3 +4
Yes. That's not bad.
on a 2-up.
Yeah. That's not bad.
It has some decent melee, decent profiles.
Yeah.
With a number of attacks. The sensor bearer being the important one. The plague sensor being the important one. But yeah, it goes to a point, and between it and the plague monks, kills anything that comes to it.
Yeah, it's a good. I like this a lot better than the bell.
Yeah. I agree that in a pest, actually not even necessarily in a pestilence. I thought about building it. I built the belt instead. Because nothing on it except for the heal says Clan Pestilence.
Nope.
So it's
battle shock immunity for your storm vermin and your clan rats too.
Strike 1 to wound rolls for attacks made with melee weapons that target this unit. Sorry.
Yeah, it's not the Frost Heart Phoenix.
Right.
It's not a ranged melee.
I thought it was like within 3 inches.
That would be amazing.
That would be
no.
ridiculous. But yeah, so the immune to battle shock and just everything else that it does is doesn't say pestilence. So you can put it in a unit of clan rats. And it's still pretty good.
My only problem with it is it's what, 300 points, 325.
It is slightly more expensive, 335, I think.
You could get 3.5 priests for that much.
That's true.
And Pestilence wants you to have more priests.
Yes.
It's a lot more durable than all those 3 priests combined.
Yes.
it's durable as like 6 priests. But if you're just going for the battle tactic or the chanting, it's hard not to just bring more priests.
Oh, I would bring this every time.
Okay, that's fair. I think they're both valid. That's good. And then we get to Verminus. We're going to ignore Scritch and his swarm because Scritch is just a worse Claw Lord who doesn't have the same Claw Lord ability, which is amazing.
More expensive and worse.
So, Claw Lords. 4-up save. 5 wounds. 6 attacks, 3s and 3s, neg 1, 2 damage.
Yeah.
That is 1 more attack better than a Stormcast hero.
Yeah.
So canonically, these guys are better than Stormcast.
Yes.
which we knew, but
Yeah.
the rules support that
in
these
every
are
way.
better
Hey,
than
you're a
Stormcast.
Stormcast player.
Yeah, I know, but these are better. That's because every wound they take gives them another attack.
Yep. So they can have, if they down to 1, they can have 4 bonus attacks.
That's not nothing.
Nope.
The big thing about these guys is A, they're cheap, and B, their command ability, which is
They're what,
plus
110?
Yeah,
points?
110.
110.
Plus 1 attack to Verminous units.
Which is crazy good on the swarms. Which
Yeah,
is what
you
they're
know
wanna
what
do
else
anyway.
that applies to? You can use that on a Warbringer.
I mean, yeah, but you only get plus 1 attack. 2, because they have 2 different profiles.
That's really good when one of those attacks can do 6 damage, man.
meh.
Like, I would absolutely consider bringing a Claw Lord for the purpose of giving plus 1 attacks to a flippin' Warbringer.
Meh. Not a fan.
They're fine.
Yeah.
They're cheap.
If you're going hordes, which probably won't happen until the next
Yeah,
GHB
so
comes out.
well, we'll talk about that now because now we're at Clan Rats and Stormvermin.
Yeah.
So Clan Rats and Stormvermin are always battle line,
Yes,
which means
they're always veterans.
they're always Galatian veterans, which means right now they're taking 2 damage from everybody who bothers to bring a bounty hunter,
which will be probably everybody.
and they're already not durable.
No,
Because
like this 4-up save.
yeah,
not good
Stormvermin have a 4-up now, Clan Rats have a 5-up. That is the one change from the last book is that it used to be like you had to add the shield to them.
Yeah, it was a 6-up and you get plus 1 if you have 10 or more models, and the same thing for them. A 5-up you get plus 1 if you have 10 or
Now
more
it's
models.
just baked in.
Yep.
Clan Rats come in unit of 20 for 100 points.
Which is hilariously
It's
cheap.
hilariously cheap. It's a lot of wounds.
That's cheaper than zombies.
They also return D3 models at the end of the battle shock phase.
Yep, every battle shock phase.
Yep.
So you're getting 2d3 back.
They
a
have
turn, assuming
bravery
you survive.
4.
Yeah.
Um,
So you wanna save some command points to make them not run, but
yeah.
or have the furnace.
Yeah, they're fine. Like they're let down right now by the GHB.
Yeah.
But you will
If-
still probably bring these because 20 models is a huge footprint.
Yes.
They're the best screening unit you have.
Even if they all die,
Yep.
they're still good.
And they will die.
Yeah.
Like, but they're supposed to.
Mhm.
You throw a death frenzy on them and they get some stuff back.
They go stab.
Right now you'll always take the rusty blade because it's plus 1 to wound better and the 2-inch range on the spear doesn't matter. Like
Yeah.
we talked about. Stormvermin are 110, 225 points?
I think they're 135.
135 points. I think it's 130. We'll look it up in the In either case, Stormvermin are only in units of 10, so
Yeah, so they don't have the numbers.
but they're 2 attacks each, 3s and 3s, neg
135.
1 damage. So they're slightly more damaging.
Mhm.
They have Bodyguards, which is they siphon wounds off on a 4-up, but a 2-up for other Verminous heroes.
Yes.
So that includes both your Claw Lords and your Warbringers.
Yes.
Pretty good.
Mhm.
They're good. They're used for Bodyguards. 30 Stormvermin with the plus 1 attack buffs and the hit and wound buffs and Death Frenzy is terrifying.
Yes.
Expensive.
This profile doesn't look great until you add like 15 layers of buffs to them, and then they will do some damage.
They can absolutely still do damage.
And curse with
Yep.
priest.
Yeah, so I guess we didn't talk about that, but Curse, which is a 4-up,
Yes.
Curse has always kind of been a trap. Like, it got a lot of talking about when 3rd edition launched, and then nobody actually ever bought it.
Yeah.
But Skaven can Skitterleap people.
Mhm.
You can Skitterleap, because Curse has to be within 9 inches.
Yes. Which means you need to dreaded Skitterleap.
You can either
in order
Dreaded
to get them back.
Skitterleap or Skitterleap and then wait. But because of our plus to cast, we are one of the better armies in the game to actually use Curse.
Plus to chant.
Plus to chant, and then our lots of attacks.
Yes.
Like Clan Rats with on a cursed enemy that kills them, like you curse a Maw Crusher, and then it wipes out 40 Clan Rats,
And then they all get to fight again.
and they all get to fight. Like, oops, dead Maw Crusher. Stormvermin are just your more elite Clan Rats, basically. They fill kind of the same role. Stormvermin are obviously less good at blocking, but better at actually siphoning wounds off. So
Trades.
we get to Molder. Packmasters, I don't even know what the heck you bring them for. Because they're not heroes.
They're not heroes. They're not battle line. They. Yep, that's just straight up the same ability. They
Yeah.
don't heal. They're like 65 points or something like that.
Moving on.
They're very cheap.
Master Molder. So this is what you bring if you want to have Molder battle line.
It is the only Molder hero,
Yes.
which is strange.
Yes.
It's the only Molder hero.
Molder does not get Molder and Scryer do not get Vermin Lords.
Yeah.
Yeah. I just want a giant red ogre.
I know, right? Well, I mean, you do have the Hell Pit Abomination.
Yeah.
It's not a Vermin Lord.
I want a giant rat ogre.
It's kind of what that is.
I want Macho Man rat ogre savage. Just oh yeah.
Convert it.
Just the hat.
Just the hat and sunglasses.
Warpstone rises to the top.
But
so the big thing that Master Molder does is A, he enables battle line.
Yeah.
B, he
does some tricky things.
yeah, so he heals D3 wounds to anybody to a friendly pack unit within 3 inches, which is basically your rat ogres, your giant rats, your smaller rats. He can crack the whip, which is add +3 to run rolls and charge rolls for that unit. In addition, add +1 to wound rolls. So that's already good. Giving +1 to wound to rat ogres is good.
No roll required. No way for your opponent to stop it. As long as you're in range, it happens.
And it's not even a command ability.
Nope.
It's just a thing that happens.
Per Master Molder you have.
But +3 to charge.
Oh, so the Pack Masters do have that.
Yes.
And they are a little bit cheaper than a Master Molder.
This is true.
But still.
But, yeah. But, so, remember +3 to charge. Remember the Master Clan thing?
Yeah.
About how your first charge roll can be all your charge rolls?
And it doesn't say unmodified.
And it doesn't say unmodified? So, yeah, you get to cheat.
Yes.
We get to be Zinch for a little bit and just make up dice rolls.
Just put up a finger at the rules.
Yeah, or a rat's tail or something.
Yeah.
So you charge with your first unit, which is a, I don't know, unit of rat ogres or giant rats if you want to be cheap.
Yep.
And they've got +3 to charge.
Which means that everything for the rest of the turn will have that roll.
We'll have whatever that roll is. So now you could still roll poorly, but as long as if you roll a 3, you just rolled a 6.
And there's a command ability to reroll.
Yes.
So I rolled a 3. I'm going to reroll that.
You roll a 6. If you roll your average roll on 2d6, which is 7, you have a 10-inch charge.
On everything in your army.
And now your whole army has a 10-inch charge.
And with the amount of teleporting that we have and moving around the board.
We have a lot of outside 9 inches. Skitter Leap, Gnaw Holes, Warp Grinders.
Yep. 2 or 3 different endless spells.
Yeah. A 10-inch guaranteed charge. I mean, anybody in any army will tell you that a 10-inch guaranteed charge is really good.
Yes.
Like, amazing. Nighthaunt see this and just cry and rage.
There's a reason that Deep Striking is 9 inches, is because that's a difficult charge.
Yes.
When Master Molder makes it trivial.
Master Molder don't care about your difficult charge. Yeah. What are the odds this just gets errated out with the FAQ?
The odds?
What are you calling?
I think low.
You think they're going to keep that in?
I think they're going to keep it in. I think they're going to make, it's a cute combination, but it's not busted.
Okay.
Your stuff is still squishy, again, except for the ogres we're about to go over. I think it's just a really good thing that Skaven can do.
And it does require you to bring 3 Master Clan heroes and Boulder.
Yes.
Which locks you out of a lot of other things.
Yeah. So you have to bring 3 Master Clan heroes, a Master Molder, and at least 1 thing for the Master Molder to buff. And then things that you also want to charge with. It's a lot. It's a big investment of points, but it's really good.
Hell Pit Abomination. So we talked about this. It's got 2d6 move and a 5-up save.
Yep. Which you can change to a 7 move.
Or give it a 4-up save.
Or give it a +2 wounds and a 4-up save.
To go over it very briefly, it hits very hard.
Yes.
It's just very squishy.
Yes.
And has random movement. But
the random movement is the worst part.
It hits really hard. This thing destroys hordes. Thankful does it better, but this is cheaper.
245, I think.
Yeah, it's not bad. It's certainly better than it was.
And then it has the when the first time it dies, it has a chance to come back.
Yeah.
So on a 5 or a 6, it comes back with D6 wounds once per game. And then there's one of the mutations that you can do a reroll.
Yeah.
So you have like a 33% times 2.
Something like that, yeah. It's like a 40% chance to ramp back.
Yeah.
Which is not bad.
Yeah.
It is not a pack creature, so Master Molder cannot bring it back on a 3-up. That's the other thing that Master Molder can do, is that when a pack creature dies anywhere on the board, you can bring it back on a 3-up.
Yep.
Which is absolutely amazing for the thing we're about to talk about next, which is Rat Ogres. Rat Ogres got a massive glow up.
Yeah, ignore the model.
Ignore them. We'll get to that. Rat Ogres hit like trucks, because they come in units of 2. First off, 6 wounds and a 4-up save each. That's pretty good.
It's the same stat line as a Storm Fiend, which I'm not mad about.
I guess that armor doesn't mean
No,
damn
like
thing.
the giant warp armor that's all over them. No, it's the same as no armor. It's fine.
You don't ever,
And the one guy gets the one guy gets +1 wound. He's 7 wounds.
Oh,
instead.
whatever.
Whatever.
D3 attacks each, 4s and 3s, neg 1, 2 damage for the warp fire gun.
Which is every other guy.
Yeah, so you get one of those in each thing. That's not bad. It's 16-inch range.
Yeah, that's a good range.
And then normally their main attacks is 4 attacks each, 3s and 3s, neg 1, 2 damage.
Yep.
And explodes. Yep. Those explode. So as in you roll unmodified 6s, you get 2 hits for every.
They are one of the Molder battle line.
Yes.
Should be mentioned.
They're Molder battle line. They are 140 points for 2 of them.
Yep.
So that's 140 points for 12 wounds on a 4-up save.
Which is pretty good.
With a 7-inch movement.
Yeah.
And they come back on a 3-up if you wipe them.
Yep, because they're fighting beasts.
These
like
are
all of the buffs
one of the best bounty hunter units in the book.
Yeah.
Because they're mostly melee. They obviously do shoot, but their main damage is melee. They have a lot of attacks.
Mm-hmm.
They're durable. They can be battle line. They can't be veterans, but they can be bounty hunters.
They can't be veterans, which is good.
Which is good. Well, if these guys could be veterans, that would be like the best veterans we have. But
that's true.
Yeah. These guys are good.
I guess their downside is 5 bravery.
Yeah, but
like a 7-inch move, and then you can give them +3 to charge. They're threatening 17 inches.
Yeah.
On average, and they
plus
hit like
charge
a truck.
and +1 to wound.
Yeah. Did we even mention the 2 hits?
Yes, I did.
Okay,
exploding. Yeah. Rat swarms. We're gonna skip rat swarms. No one cares.
Yeah, they're just useless.
Yeah, they're terrible.
They're 55 points for
giant rats.
models.
We won't get into. Basically, they come in units of 6.
So yeah, they're units of 6 with 1 wound and no save, and 3 bravery.
If you have 6 of them, they have 2 rend, so they become 2 attacks each. 4s and 4s, 2 rend, 1 damage.
Mm-hmm.
They're discount rat ogres.
Yep.
In a huge unit of 18 of these will hurt.
Yeah, and they're cheap. They're 60 points for 6
but they're
models?
not good. Yeah, they're cheap. They're cheap as chips, but they're not good.
Yeah.
Giant rats are discount rat ogres.
Yeah.
They're not useless.
No, they're not.
It's just that rat ogres are really good.
They are.
Giant rats don't have a save.
Yeah.
Yeah.
They have a 8 movement, so +1 movement. We did some math, and they deal a lot of damage if you put buffs on them.
But they, unlike rat ogres, they will absolutely not take a hit.
No.
Like,
they will all die immediately.
Yeah. They just
Yeah. You could double reinforce them, and they will just all die. All die with no save.
Again, not a bad choice for veterans, though, because 2 rend, 2 damage.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And you don't really care if they get +2 damage because they're going to die
And
anyway.
the whole unit will come back on a 3-up.
This is true.
Deathmaster. Deathmaster sucks. Moving on. He hides in a
he's too
unit.
expensive.
He hides in a unit. He pops out. He deals a bunch of damage to heroes.
And not much to anything else.
He's not a. He's too expensive for what he does. He has no rend. The problem is with no rend, you're really fishing for those 6s.
His damage is also unreliable. It's only D3.
Slink Skittershank. Oh boy.
Yeah.
You hate Eshin.
I'll
be brief. So the thing about Slink and his pack is that you can place them off the side. They can come up anywhere within 6 inches of a terrain feature and more than 6 inches from enemy units. So they have Dreaded Scarily built into their War Scroll with the terrain thing.
Yeah.
So there's that.
So
and
there's 2 things in general that Eshin does, which is teleport and mortal wounds.
Yes.
And these guys do both of them better.
Yes, that's the great way to put it. It's 225 points for Mr. Skittershank and his clawback.
So a hero and 4 guys.
Now, by themselves, they don't have good attacks because it's all like 1 or no rend. The big thing about them is they have a total of the pack has a total of 9 melee attacks and 4 range attacks. And Skittershank himself has a total of 6 melee attacks and 4 range attacks. The big thing about them is that every single one of those attacks, melees and range, they have run and shoot, and 6s are D3 mortals.
Yes.
That's really good.
Yes.
You are absolutely mortal fishing with these guys.
100%.
But teleport in 6 inches, make an easy charge. Remember that +3 charge thing?
Yep.
That works on them too. Easy charge. To get the most out of their points, you do want to be in melee and ranged, though.
Yes.
Like, you need to get both of them. They die to a stiff breeze, doesn't matter. Skittershank has a wonderful thing, whereas if he's by his claw pack, he can just bail out after he fights. After he fights.
Which is dumb.
Which is hilarious. Yeah. They're great. They are a focused damage piece. Like you.
Oh, and he gets strike first?
Yes. Oh. Yeah. He's great.
Oh, my God. Okay, so there is a downside to this unit.
Yes.
He is currently only available in the 2-player starter
For another maze.
for another maze.
Which is $95.
This is $95. So if this unit is worth $95 to you, pick it up.
Or proxy your own. I don't know.
Yeah, or buy it on eBay.
Yeah. Well, good luck buying on eBay because everyone else wants to. They're not that much cheaper than $90, I think.
That really?
Nah, I'm
Oh
kidding.
my
2 units left. We're almost done. We
And
have
then spells.
well, one of them we can kind of ignore. Night Runners are Gutter Runners, but worse.
Yep.
The big difference is Gutter Runners are just upgraded Night Runners. Gutter Runners can hide. You don't get to deep strike them per se, because they have to come in at the end of the first movement phase, and it has to be within an inch of a terrain feature more than 9 inches away.
Yes.
So a little restrictive, but the big thing about them is they've got 3 range attacks and 2 melee attacks, and you're fishing for 6s because every 6 is immortal.
Yep.
And that's it.
And they're decently cheap. How many points?
105 for 5.
Okay, that's not bad.
These can be your Eshin Battle Line, by the way.
Oh yeah, both of these are the
Yep.
Eshin Battle Line.
Night Runners are the same thing, but they have far less attacks, and instead of doing
And a worse profile,
and instead of doing the teleport or instead of doing the deep strike, they get to make a random ass pre-game move.
yeah, it's what, D6 inches?
2d6 inches.
2d6 inches.
That's not very good.
No.
Like, you're always going to bring Gutter Runners. The end of the spells, they're all outclassed by Purple Sun.
I feel like Vortex got worse.
Vortex still locks an area and says you can't run
Yeah.
when you're in this area.
Doesn't get rid of flying anymore.
It doesn't get rid of flying. It does decent mortals.
Yeah. It is a large area. We
Yes.
talked about this.
Yes.
It is within 13 of the caster, and then 7 inches from that, and 7 inches from that,
And 7 inches from that.
and 7 inches from that.
So you set up a 7-inch cubed, God, no, not cubed, triangled. I hate math.
But it's a 6-inch bubble around each of these.
Yes.
So it is a large area. Sorry,
And
I
the
should have done it over here.
More area you're in, the more mortals you take.
Yeah.
It is a good way to say, if you want to sit on a point, I'm going to make you pay for it.
Yes.
Or if you want to walk through here, I'm going to make you pay for it.
Or try and dispel it, obviously.
Yes. Or, yeah, but it goes off on
An 8.
an 8.
So yeah, you would probably use it on someone that has plus to cast.
Thankful.
Yeah, Thankful or the Bell.
Yeah. Or Gracie, you're casting with the 2d6 thing, right?
Yeah, that's true.
The Bell of Doom is one of your few ways to get Battle Shock immunity, but it goes off on a 5 and is super easy to
Yeah.
remove. So
You basically put it out. They hopefully don't dispel it.
Yeah.
Sorry, counter you when
you
you
put
put
you're
it
going to
out.
be casting this every dang turn.
Yeah.
And then we get to gnaw holes. Gnaw holes are set up at 8 inches of every edge, away from other terrain features. The big thing about gnaw holes is that each one can only be gone into per turn,
Yeah.
once per turn, but you can come out of the same gnaw hole if you want.
Yes. So you can. Is it in your hero phase, or is it the movement phase?
Movement.
Movement phase.
Because the nice thing is you can, at the end of the movement phase, so you can move up to one of these and then teleport.
Yes. Oh yeah, because
You move up to it, you pull the unit, you pop out of a different gnaw hole.
Yep.
More than 9 inches from enemy units and within 6 inches of the gnaw hole. And if there's enemy units within 3 inches, it stops working.
Yes. And there was a thing in the previous set where it was you had to have a hero there, and it was like 1 unit per hero. Doesn't
that's
matter
gone.
anymore. So it is just movement shenanigans left and right, which is what we love. It also gives +1 to cast and dispel and chant.
Yes.
Is it dispel too? One to casting. Yep. Dispelling, unbinding, and chance.
Yep. So +1 to all your magical stuff. It's very good. They're free.
Yeah. I would say it's one of the better.
Terrain pieces.
Yeah.
I agree. It fits fully into what we want to do
Yes.
and makes your unit enemy care about it.
Yeah.
It's good. Get one.
Be aware that monsters can still stomp your gnaw holes.
Yep.
So if you put one in your opponent's deployment, they can just walk over to it and.
But if they spend a turn with a monster sitting by my gnaw hole to stomp it, you go right ahead, son.
Man, that would feel so bad for me.
I would, but like depending on the monster, monsters ain't cheap.
That's true.
Like if you want to blow a turn with that, sure, that's a turn that monster's not,
I guess.
And that's it for the book. So, sorry for talking at length, but it's a lot.
It is a lot.
Like we talked about, so we kind of have some sample lists.
Yeah.
We've gone a bit long, obviously. Do you have a list?
I do have a list.
Okay.
So it is an Archwarlock, because they're good casters. An Engineer for my 2 Warp Lightning Cannons that I'll be taking.
Yep.
2 units of Reinforced Storm Fiends with all the ranged weapons, because, again, as much as I hate to admit it, they're probably just better. Clan Rats to sit on a back objective. And the knotholes. There's some room. I got a little bit of room for like an endless spell in there. I haven't really decided on what it is yet. I currently have a life swarm, just because bringing back clan rats or healing my storm fiends, always good. And basically what I want to do is I want to shoot the crap out of anything that will get in the Storm Fiend's way, and then the Storm Fiends will kill anything else. It is very simple. It probably won't work, but I like Scryer too much. If I had the room, I would put Doomwheel in there, but I don't, because I'm a fanboy. It is the list that I'm building towards. It is the one that I want, and luckily I don't actually need that much for it. I just need 2 more units of Storm Fiends.
Yeah.
And a Archwarlock. Anyway. That is, if I had a dream list, if I could have unlimited money, I would just build that because, oh my god, I love that list so much. Anyway.
Mine is I want to start with Thankful because I like him a lot.
Yep.
So we didn't talk about this, but the winning combo for Thankful, first off, Thankful is wonderful for casting the Purple Sun.
Yes.
The Purple Sun, by the way, if you don't know.
+3 or 4 to cast.
Yeah, he's got +3 or 4 to cast. Purple Sun goes off on an 8. The Purple Sun is -1 to rend of anybody within 6 inches of it, but also... -1 armor save for anybody who's within 6 inches. That's important. But also on a 1, it just murders any unit. It's within like 3 inches of it.
Yeah,
including
like
heroes and monsters.
Yeah.
And basically everybody who's not Marathi.
It's got a 16% chance to kill anything in the game.
I'm hoping that gets patched out, but until it does. But Thankul's favorite endless spell is Luncheon the Lunch Seeker. Luncheon the Soul Seeker, which is definitely not Charon or Charon from Greek mythology.
Yeah.
He's the boatman. Don't pay the ferryman, indeed. So the way that endless spell works is that at the end of the hero phase, if you're by the boat carries you 18 inches, more than 9 inches from any units, which is great. You also suffer like a mortal wound. Who cares? Yeah, the big thing about that is that you can then move in the following hero phase, unlike a lot of these teleport units. Movement phase. It happens in the hero phase, and then you can move afterwards.
Yep.
So Thankul can launch himself 18 inches. Walk casually up to a horde and melt it.
The thing that was probably not thought about was most wizards aren't combat monsters.
And the ones that are on big bases, because
Yes.
you have to be fit wholly within 3 inches of the spell to use it.
Yeah,
so
and they haven't updated his base size.
Vermin Lords can't. And Thankul is on just small enough a base to fit.
So yeah, you cast it with your
+3 or 4 to cast.
Teleport 18 inches. Walk how fast is he?
10-inch movement.
Walk 10 inches, annihilate a unit, and then charge a different unit.
Yep.
He can kill. He can move 30 inches across the board and kill whatever he wants.
No horde is safe from Thankful's flamethrowers. I got a Master Molder in there.
Yep.
I've got a Purple Sun, not holes. So for my battle line, I have 1 unit of Rat Ogres reinforced.
Nice.
Because I think they're great, and they've got a Master Molder. Unit of Clan Rats as Galatian veterans, just because, there's a battle plan that needs that.
Yeah.
And, Storm Vermin doing the same thing. Then I have Slink, Skittershank, and his entourage. Reinforced unit of Gutter Runners.
Yes.
And a Vermin Lord Warbringer. So basically the idea is that you have Thankul as a centerpiece, you have Slink and his posse and the Gutter Runners as a mobile, like we can do whatever we need to. You have the Master Molder and the Vermin Lord, and the Rat Ogres, as kind of a bounty hunter unit. Clan Rats obviously will either sit on objectives, the Storm Vermins babysit the Warbringer, and the Warbringer just messes things up.
Yes.
Warbringer is my general and has the +2 attacks. Devious Adversary command trait, which is very, very good.
Yes.
I just crashed the app again.
Nice.
This thing needs updating. Anyway, so yeah, those are just some playful lists. There's other things you can do, like we've discussed a way to make Dune Wheels good.
Yes.
And we just thought about it. The way to make Doom Wheels good is to focus on that D3 mortals on pile-in. So that means give them as many movement opportunities and as many pile-in opportunities as possible.
Yes.
So Master Clan for the double pile-in, Dreaded Death Frenzy, or Death Frenzy for the pile-in when you know they're going to die, and they will.
Yes.
Is it going to be good? No.
No.
Will it be fun? Absolutely.
They're 185 points apiece. Oh, and I had not mentioned this yet. In the one game that I played, I overcharged my Doom Wheel on turn 1. It killed itself. And I overcharged my Warlock Bombardier on turn 1. and he killed himself.
Scryer.
I played against Gloomspite Gitsons and lost.
Hey, they got to glow up with
They
their
did,
White
they
Dwarf, so don't feel too bad.
But yeah, I am not a competitive player. I like stuff that I like. I like the Doom Bell. I like that's any Scryer unit that kills themselves. I love Storm Fiends. I'm not looking to be the best in the world. I'm looking to play a game and have fun.
But I think and then I guess we'll transition to closing thoughts on this.
Yeah.
I think this book is amazing for playing that way.
Yeah.
And still being good enough to have fun against, like, I don't know, you're probably not going to win with your fun list against somebody playing competitive Deacon.
Yeah.
Whatever.
Who cares?
I wasn't going to win against that anyway.
Yeah.
It doesn't matter what I'm playing.
Yeah.
Although
your list.
Not with me piloting it, it won't.
Well, that's a different story.
Yeah. I think this book is absolutely amazing for, you can lean into the clans.
Mm-hmm.
None of the mono clan builds are going to be as good as the multi-clan builds.
Right.
But they're good enough.
Yeah.
The theme lists are good enough is my overall phrase for this book.
Sure.
And I love that.
Yes.
It's the opposite of Cities, where the theme lists are absolutely terrible. If you don't play specific things, you suck.
Yeah.
This book, I am, so upsides.
Yes.
Upsides. What do we like about the book?
It's super unbelievably customizable, especially
Yes.
compared to last edition.
Oh, God, yes.
There's very, very few bad models or units in this book.
Rat swarms?
Rat swarms, and then what was the Underworld's?
Oh, Scritch?
Yeah, Scritch.
And even Scritch isn't the worst.
No.
He's just worse than a Claw Lord.
Yeah.
He does come with a lot more wounds, though.
He does. There's very little that's not playable, at least.
Yeah.
In this book, where again the list before were like Storm Fiends and
Storm Fiends.
Storm Fiends.
Storm Friends. Yeah.
yeah. You Storm Friends them to death, and then you hopefully don't lose.
Yeah.
But yeah, I think the customizability and the playability of this book is fantastic. Me as a person that doesn't want to be competitive, it looks great. Someone who does want to be competitive can probably find some absolutely ridiculous stuff to do with it.
Thankful with a fairy, yeah.
Thankful with a fairy molder to get +3 to charge on everything in your army. Like, there's some really stupid
The
combinations.
Deceiver being himself.
Yeah, the Deceiver being everything he is. I feel like this is a book for everyone. I think they did something fantastic because there are some armies that are not for everyone.
No, yeah, there are some. Yeah, and it does have a very specific playstyle.
Yes.
The only way to play this army is threat saturation.
Yeah.
You can choose what kind of threat saturation you want. You can choose whether it's super fast or not super tough. That's not an option.
Nope.
Or Deceivers or the Warbringer or Scryer. You want ranged, you want melee. You can dip into all of them. But the only way to play this army is everything is going to die, and you need to trade up.
Yeah. You need to kill stuff before they do.
Right. So it is a glass cannon army. It is absolutely the glass cannon army right now.
Yep.
I think this continues the fine tradition of 3.0 so far, where there have not been a bad book.
Yeah, I agree.
There have been bad subfactions. Cruel Boys needed some love. They got it, so we'll see how that turns out. I can't see. You know what? I take it back. There's the use for the Plague Claw.
Oh.
Because there's the Grinning Blades who do not have line of sight outside of 9 inches.
Oh, right.
That would ruin your Storm Fiend's day, kind of.
Yeah.
But Plague Claw doesn't care because he doesn't need line of sight.
Yeah, that's true.
Finally, a niche use.
We did it.
Yay. We did it, Reddit. Downsides to the book. It can be overwhelming.
Yes.
There's a lot in here.
Yeah, unlike some of the newer factions, because this is an old world faction, there's a lot of models.
Yes.
Some of the newer factions are like they have 2 battle lines, 3 non-battle lines, 4 heroes, and you're done.
Yeah.
This is between all of the clans and all of the old models, like there's a lot in this book. Like the combinations can
I
be
think it's
overwhelming.
3rd place behind Cities and Stormcast as far as number of models that we have access to.
Yeah, cities are obviously.
Although Stormcast doesn't count because most of those are heroes that don't do anything that nobody cares about.
You just rip the page out of the book. And
You could. Other downside, and obviously we'll talk about this now. We've mentioned a bunch of the models.
Yeah, they had the chance to give us new models, and they gave us 1 new model, and made him kind of not worth it.
2 if you count Slink.
Yeah, that's fair. Do you count Slink? But all of the heroes except for the Bombardier and the so I guess the big ones, the Behemoths, the Bombardier, and the Gracier, they're all metal or
You mean plastic?
No. I mean except for.
Oh, except for, yeah. I think the Claw Lords are plastic.
Oh, the Claw Lord
new
is
one
plastic?
is. The new one
I
is.
swear it isn't.
There's 2 different Claw Lords because you can get the old one that was Old Queek Head Taker, and he's resin.
Yeah. Do you mean the one that's
But I think the claw.
the air.
Yeah, that's
Yeah.
the yeah.
No, I think he's resin.
He's resin. 'Cause I have him.
Oh, okay.
But the claw lord that's in the picture, I believe, is plastic.
I don't think.
In either case, he's okay.
Yeah, he's.
But so many of the models are old.
Yeah, they had the availability to update these, and they didn't.
The rat ogres are shameful.
Yeah, like
if you are going to call yourself a model company and in your board meeting say we focus on models, that's why our rules suck, implied. You can't put rat ogres on the store in good faith and tell me to buy them.
yeah, they put those models in this book. They could have decided not to do that.
Yeah, you could have made a choice there. Yeah, like
Acolytes.
acolytes are
Acolytes are a sin, I believe.
they come in units of 5. They are $10 per model.
18. per
18
model.
sorry, $18 per model, and you get a single random one in a metal blister.
Yep. So if you want to run actual official GW models and you want acolytes, you need to spend $90.
This might be one of the most expensive armies in the game to play if you go full GW.
Yep. $90 per 5-man unit, and the sculpts are random.
Yep.
And they're metal.
Yep.
Why
even,
did you
even
do
some of
this?
the plastic models, plague monks, don't look great.
No,
They're plastic, but they don't look great. They're kind of the last of the era of the monkey Skaven,
Yeah.
as people call them.
I mean, I guess they are plastic, but they still look like monkey skaven
Yes.
because there's some non-plastics that do,
Well, yeah, I'm not counting those.
like the gutter runners in them.
The gutter runners are absolutely terrible.
Yep.
We're not going to get too much into 3D printing or proxies.
Yeah.
But as far as GW proxies go, Blood Bowl team for gutter runners.
Yeah. Blood Bowl team actually makes some like good acolytes too because they have the ball that they're throwing. You could do like
Yep.
a combination.
Acolytes, the favorite I've heard is you take either clan rats or monks and you give them little airsoft BBs for the balls.
Yeah.
They're throwing those. Plague monks are plastic, but sensor bearers are resin and come in 5s and look terrible.
Yep.
But you can take flail bits and put them on the end of the poles for plague monks.
There's conversion opportunities.
There's lots of conversion opportunities, and boy, howdy do I suggest you look into them.
yes.
The best looking unit in the book is the Doom Wheel, and it's also one of the worst. But otherwise, like, the other kind of complaint I have is that there's a lot in here that feels like we should be playing with 3.0 rules that we're not.
Yes.
Like, how are there no rally buffs in this book?
Right.
If anyone.
Or reinforcement buffs.
Yes.
Because what did
Daughters of Cain get to play with reinforcement buffs,
but Skaven don't.
but Skaven don't.
So this is your theory.
This is my theory lifted from, like, I think other people on the internet, so I can't give credit to myself for this. But theories is maybe, like, a lot of things this suffered from the delays, the world we live in, of shipping delays, and that maybe this was supposed to come out in 2nd edition, like late 2nd edition. Like, maybe this was supposed to be before Soul Blight.
Yeah.
That would also explain why we didn't get anything new for it. Now, Monkey Paw time, do we get the LRL treatment where we get another book in 3rd edition with some new...
Really hope not. Because I don't play LRL and that pissed me off.
But what if it came... What if, A, it was in a year or two, not, like,
well, I mean,
in a
okay,
year,
that's fair.
and it came with a model refresh?
I would be more okay with it.
Then I would be okay with it.
If it was 6 months from now, I'd be a little mad.
No, yeah, I'd be a little mad. But otherwise, I give this book a 13 out of 13.
Of course you did.
To get you back for that pun earlier. I'm super pumped to play Skaven. I'm slowly building my army. I've been so busy lately.
Yeah.
I was on vacation. It was a working vacation. Shout out to Bar Harbor for being great, but
Yeah.
Shout out to Maine, all my Maine peeps.
I got all my stuff
I have
built.
my Moxie shirt. Your soda's delicious. Wish I could have stolen all of it and brought it home.
But yeah, you need to build your stuff so we can play.
Yeah.
Some rat on rat action.
Ugh, don't phrase it like that. Oh no. Picture of Ink Eyes goes right here.
Yes. Yeah. Anyway.
Well, so I'm pumped for this book. I'm pumped to play it. Obviously, it's already been out, so it's not like this is
Yeah.
You can get this at your local store,
Yeah.
unless you're like us and you sold all of your copies
Yeah, we still don't have any.
because people want this book.
Yeah.
I'm excited to play it.
Skaven is an old favorite.
Yeah,
People love it.
and it's the most unique thing Games Workshop makes
Yes.
because
There's not even like space skate.
No.
I mean, we can lean into Mantic all we want, but I would.
But even Mantic making their Space Skaven was chewing on this.
Yes, 100%.
It wasn't Mantic making their own version of the thing that GW stole from elsewhere.
Right.
Like, GW didn't make dwarves.
Right.
So when Mantic make dwarves, it's like, yeah, okay, it's just more dwarves. GW did not make elves. Stormcast, I mean, are kind of stolen from Marines. Like, it's
Yeah, that's
self-stealing, but it's still stealing. Skaven are one of the most unique things that GW makes. And they lean fully into the flavor. This book is a wonderful mix of playability but flavor.
Yeah.
And I think that's my ending thought is
Yeah.
like they did a great job on that.
Yep. It's a fantastic balance of everything that it should have been.
Yes, I agree. Some minor things I wish could have been a little better, and good golly, horned rat, just give us new models.
Yeah.
Please. I beg of you.
I would buy them pretty instantly.
Yeah. Like, and we can't be the only ones, right? No. Like, we've been looking through 3D printed stuff for weeks since this came out.
And there's a lot of good stuff.
And there's so much money that GW is leaving on the table.
Yep.
You're just letting Mantic and 3D printing companies eat your lunch. Maybe that's why they don't do it. Maybe it's like the Imperial Guard thing where we don't release our models because it'll be the market's saturated. I disagree.
Yeah.
I think if you release new Skaven, people will buy the heck out of it.
Yep.
Especially the ones that are good and that come in 5s and are pressing.
Yes.
And on that unhappy note, thanks for listening to this episode of Miniatures Rundown. Let us know in the comments, are you also as pumped for this book as I am? If not, you're wrong, but please let me know.
But yeah, let us know in which ways
Let
you
me
are
know
wrong.
so I can add it to my Eshin hit list.
Yes.
And we'll see you next time.
Bye.
Bye.